In the year 1891, the public was shocked to read my account of the death of my good friend and associate, Sherlock Holmes, who was thought to have plunged to an icy grave over the Reichenbach Falls in the iron embrace of his arch-foe, Professor Moriarty. However, as my readers are now doubtless aware, Holmes was not dead, but rather wandering about Central Europe, the Middle East, and part of Asia for 3 years. At the time of his return, we gave it out that he was in flight from the Professor's avenging minions. I can at last tell you that this was untrue. I have kept the secret of Holmes' disappearance for nearly half a century for discretion's sake. I am now prepared to lay before the public the true facts, as I know them, in a history I have labelled privately, The Adventure of the 7% Solution.
Simon Callow as Sherlock Holmes, Ian Hogg as Dr. Watson, and Carl Johnson as Sigmund Freud in The 7% Solution, adapted by Denny Martin Flynn from the novel by Nicholas Meyer.
It was on April the 24th that I heard for the first time in months from Sherlock Holmes. My marriage and my subsequent start in private practice had effected a radical alteration in the pattern of my relations with my friend. On this particular day, a telegram had been delivered to my surgery, not from Holmes, but from his landlady, Mrs. Hudson, imploring me to return to my former rooms without delay. I hailed a cab, set out for my former lodgings, and rang the bell of 221B Baker Street.
Dr. Watson, thank heavens you've come. I'm at my wit's end.
Why? What has happened?
These last few months, since you've left us, he's become very strange. He's got himself barricaded in up there, won't take his meals, keeps the shutters closed all day, and then steals out at night. Dr. Watson, I think he's taking...
Mrs. Hudson, I know there's someone down there with you. I heard the cab stop before the door. If that gentleman answers to the name Moriarty, you may show him up, and I will deal with him.
I'd better go to him.
Be careful.
I mounted the 17 well-trod steps with a heavy heart. What a noble mind was here overthrown.
Moriarty, is that you?
It is I, Watson.
Watson?
You see, it is I, Holmes. Let me enter.
Not so fast. You may be Moriarty in disguise. Prove you are Watson.
Oh, how on earth am I to do that?
Tell me where I keep my tobacco.
In the toe of your Persian slipper. Now, would you...
My correspondence?
Is affixed to the mantel with a jackknife. Now, let me...
And what were the first words I ever spoke to you?
You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. For heaven's sake, Holmes.
Very well. I am satisfied. Forgive me for doubting you, my dear fellow, but I had to be certain.
I was astonished by his appearance. His skin had a positively unhealthy pallor.
My dear doctor, I owe you an explanation. I have no doubt you find this all very bizarre. I assure you my plight is quite genuine.
What is it?
Have you ever heard of Professor Moriarty?
The name was one I had only known him to mutter when in the thrall of one of his cocaine injections. Never.
Aye, there's the genius and the wonder of the thing. The man pervades London, the Western world even, and no one has ever heard of him. The man is my nemesis, Watson. My evil genius. Tea?
Huh? Oh, thank you. How have you been otherwise, Holmes?
Never better. It's almost spring. Have you noticed? With all this rain and fog, you'd never think it.
Well,
For years past, Watson, I've been continually conscious of some deep organizing power which guides and inspires crimes of the most varying sorts. Here you are.
Ah, thank you. Yes, it is a wet spring. I was saying only yesterday to Mary...
He is the Napoleon of crime, Watson. He is the organizer of half that is evil and nearly all that is undetected in this great city and in the annals of contemporary crime. He's a genius, a philosopher, an abstract thinker. He sits motionless like a spider in the center of his web. But that web has 1,000 radiations, and he knows well each quiver of them. His agents may be caught and their crimes forestalled, but he is never so much as suspected. Until now, that is. Until I, his arch-enemy, managed to deduce his existence and penetrate his perimeters. And now his henchmen, having discovered my success, are on my track.
Well, Holmes, what do you propose to do?
Do? Why, for the moment, I think I shall nap.
He flung himself absent-mindedly into a chair and fell into a deep and troubled sleep. As I watched him, an awful thought struck me. I pulled back his lids and examined his pupils. They were dilated. I then took his pulse. It was weak and unsteady. Finally, I examined his arms for recent puncture marks. They were numerous. In the past, I had known Holmes to go on cocaine binges, during which time he would inject himself thrice daily with a 7% solution. Was it possible that in the absence of a challenging case, he had fallen prey to the evils of drug addiction? With this thought, I knocked the ashes from my pipe against the grate, threw an Afghan over the inert form of my companion, and turned down the lamp. I left Baker Street and returned to my own residence, where a disagreeable surprise awaited me.
There's a gentleman waiting in the consulting room, Doctor.
At this hour? What didn't you tell him?
But I tried to, sir. He was most insistent on seeing you, personal-like. This is his card.
Professor James Moriarty.
Dr. Watson, is it?
Professor Moriarty? To what do I owe the honour of this late visit?
I apologize for the hour, but I wish to be discreet and my business is urgent. I have come to you, sir, because I know from your published accounts that you are Mr. Sherlock Holmes' most intimate acquaintance.
I enjoy that distinction.
Then perhaps you can help me to avert a scandal. Doctor, your friend is, well, persecuting me.
Persecuting you?
I don't know how else to say it. He follows me about London, dogs my steps, waits for me outside the Royal Arts School. I am a teacher of mathematics. Oh, and he sends me threatening telegrams. Look at this. Moriarty, your days are numbered. Moriarty, I am watching you. Dr. Watson, Mr. Holmes is convinced that I am some sort of criminal mastermind of the most depraved order. I know he is a great and good man. All England resounds with his praise. But in my case, he fosters a ghastly delusion. He puts me in a most unfortunate position. The headmaster is becoming suspicious, and I'm afraid I will lose my job. I come to you as his friend, rather than turning the matter over to my solicitor.
No, I assure you that will not be necessary. My friend is not well. That is all. Had you known him when he was in full possession of his faculties...
Oh, but I did. I knew both boys, Sherlock and his brother Mycroft. I was their tutor at Squire Holmes' estate in Sussex. Brilliant lads they were, the Holmes brothers. I should have liked to go on, only... then came the tragedy.
Tragedy? Now, what tragedy?
What do you mean you don't know?
I assure you, Holmes has never spoken of his family or his early life. I have met his brother, of course. He lives at his club in Pall Mall, but other than that...
Well, if Master Sherlock hasn't told you, then I hardly see that it is my business to disclose it.
Oh, you're not leaving, surely?
I'm sorry. I cannot and will not be indiscreet in this matter. Really, I must go. I came only to implore your assistance in this most embarrassing predicament. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Professor. It was imperative to deal with the situation at once, lest Holmes' mental collapse be made public. I resolved to put into execution a scheme which first occurred to me some months before, when reading a piece by a young Austrian physician in the Lancet. I discussed it with my wife that evening.
So, what is to be done?
Holmes must be weaned of his cocaine addiction. And there is only one man in Europe who is in a position to help us. The doctor in Vienna who wrote this article. I've cabled him regarding Holmes, and he agrees to help provided we can get him to Vienna.
He will never go to Vienna. You know how he does not like to leave London. He says it generates an unhealthy excitement in the criminal classes when they learn he is abroad.
True. We must provide him with an incentive. I ought to be able to think of something, but so far I've failed.
John, perhaps we're going about this in the wrong way.
I'm doing the best I can.
Don't be angry, dearest. I only meant if we wish to outwit Mr. Holmes, we must go to his brother.
Mycroft. The very man. What a clever thing you are. Even Holmes admits Mycroft as his intellectual superior. I shall visit him at once.
But you can't be going now. It's after 9.
There's no time to be lost. Don't wait up for me. I did not know Mycroft Holmes well, and I remember being astonished when after 7 years Holmes informed me of his existence. Though equally gifted, Mycroft Holmes was incurably lazy, corpulent, and preferred to live out an eccentric bachelorhood without society of any kind. The Diogenes Club, where he spent most of his time, was devoted to a membership that could not abide clubs. I found him there, and in as few words as possible I told him of his brother's condition, my worst fears, and the promising article in the Lancet. When I mentioned the visitor to my consulting room, he flushed uncomfortably.
Professor Moriarty?
He appears to know both of you from the time he tutored.
Quite. And you believe this Viennese doctor can help, my brother?
The medical profession is woefully ignorant of the problems of addiction. He appears to have made a study of it. In addition to his other work, Hysteria in Children.
What a peculiar range of interest.
Time is of the essence. At the rate your brother is using cocaine, he will be dead within a year. And I have no idea how on earth we are to get him to the doctor in Vienna.
We shall provide him with an incentive he cannot resist. A false trail, convincing him that Moriarty has fled to the continent. Do you have Professor Moriarty's address?
Here is his card. 114 Monroe Road, Hammersmith.
Then we shall have a cab. Jenkins? Stop here, cabby. This is close enough. It would not do to reveal our visit to Sherlock, should he have chosen this night to stand vigil.
Look, under the street lamp. Can that be pipe smoke?
It is Sherlock. As long as he is watching the professor's door so closely, we cannot hope to enter unobserved.
Bad luck.
Oh, wait a minute. There.
He's leaving.
Quickly. Now, we must accomplish our errand without further delay.
Professor Moriarty, may we come in?
Dr. Watson?
Yes, and this is Mr. Mycroft Holmes.
Master Mycroft? Well, why?
Pray, do not turn up the gas. My brother may return at any time, and it would not do to let him see any alteration in your room.
Well, what do you want? This is an ungodly hour to come calling.
I wish you to take a brief leave of absence from the Roylott School.
Huh?
No more than 3 days. And journey to the address on this piece of paper.
3 days?
In memory of our past association.
But this is in...
I know where it is, my dear sir.
And when I arrive?
I wish you to disappear completely. Come home and resume your post, nothing more.
Resume my post, if it's still mine. This is really a great deal to ask.
I hardly think so. I have no great desire to rake up the past, Professor, but I am perfectly capable of it.
Put that way, you leave me little choice. When must I go?
Now.
But I cannot...
Time is essential, and your flight in the middle of the night will do much to arouse his suspicions.
Oh, very well, if you insist.
I'm afraid I do.
Oh.
We left the professor's house and returned in our cab.
It's all up to Sherlock now.
I wonder if we've made it too hard for him.
I think not. From what you've said, his mind is the same instrument it ever was. Only its emphases have been perverted. Moriarty is his man, and he'll find the way to him. I think we need not concern ourselves about that. The rest is up to your Viennese friend. Good night, Watson.
Good night, Mycroft. I made my way to bed and fell into an exhausted sleep following the harrowing events of the day. Early the next morning, however, while at breakfast...
Telegram for you, sir.
Yeah?
Watson, can your practice spare you for a few days? The game is afoot, and your assistance would prove invaluable. Bring Toby to 114 Monroe Road, Hammersmith. Take precautions. Holmes.
Ah.
It has begun.
Yes, I must buffle.
What does he mean by take precautions?
He intends me to bring my service revolver.
But surely that will not be necessary.
I have always followed his instructions to the letter. Ask Cullingworth to take my rounds for me, will you?
When will you return?
I can't say. I'm off to fetch Toby now.
But who is Toby?
Toby is a bloodhound. Readers may recall Toby's remarkable powers from my account of them in The Sign of the Four, in which he was materially responsible for the discovery of the notorious Jonathan Small and his horrible companion. He traced them halfway across London with only a bit of creosote on the bare feet of the latter to guide him. Toby lived with his owner, Mr. Sherman the naturalist, in Lambeth.
All right, quiet now, you little blighters. What, Dr. Watson? Bless me. Come in. Come in.
Thank you, my dear fellow.
Whether did you find the way in this damn fog? You'll be wanting Toby, then?
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Holmes requires his assistance.
Just a minute, then, and I'll fetch him. You no time for a cup of tea?
I'm afraid I haven't.
I thought not. Always in a hurry, is Mr. Sherlock.
Oh!
All right now, Toby. You just go along with Dr. Watson. You keep him as long as you need him. Oh, goodbye, Toby. There's a good doggy. Give my best to Mr. Sherlock.
I will. Come on, boy.
The road was invisible. Fog, which had gathered at my ankles some hours before, now settled still about me, much higher than my head. All about me was a wall of sulphurous yellow smoke, stinging to the eye and noxious to the lungs. London, in a matter of hours, had been transformed into a creepy dream world, where sound replaced sight. Turning at length into deserted Munro Road, we made for the faint glow of the sole lamp in the street, and there stopped. I got out and scanned the vicinity for any sign of Holmes.
Hello? 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 Who's that?
And it's there that me had promised you. It me had promised true, and early father's lie, but for Bonnie and Elodie, I'd lay me down and I'm for the blind.
Why didn't you answer when I called out?
I like to stop the song. When I stop the song, they didn't hear me.
Oh, here you are.
Thank you very much.
But good heavens, man, how can you ply your trade in this situation?
Situation, sir?
What
situation, sir?
This blasted fog. You can't see your hand before you... Oh, I do beg your pardon.
Oh, is that what's doing it? I wondered why it was so strange today. I don't believe I took a shilling all morning. Fog, is it? Must be a regular corker if I haven't had a shilling on account of it.
Do you need any help?
No, bless you, sir, but I don't. No, it's all the same to me, isn't it? It's all the same. So, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Holmes! Holmes!
No need to shout, Watson. I'm right here.
Oh, Holmes! It was you all along.
Just let me get this makeup off.
You took me in completely.
Oh, forgive me, my dear fellow. You know I can never resist a touch of the dramatic, and the setting was so perfect that I succumbed to temptation. Hello, Toby, old boy.
But why the disguise?
The professor has bolted, Watson. I was keeping watch on his residence last night, and all was quiet until midnight. It was raw and damp, and I went to the public house down the road for some brandy to warm my insides. Whilst I was gone, 2 men came to see him. What they said, I have no way of knowing, but I don't doubt that they were spies in his pay come to tell him of my nets closing upon them. When I returned, they had gone, and the professor as well. How or where, we have yet to discover. I came here, as you saw me, lest his friends should lie in ambush.
2 men, you say?
Yes. One was tall and quite heavy, 14 stone at least. This damp ground is very effective for registering impressions.
Is it? The other?
Yeah, the other. There are features of interest about him. He was somewhat shorter and not nearly so heavy as his companion, and he walked with a slight limp, not unlike yours, Watson, in his left leg. Mind the vanilla extract!
Vanilla extract?
Don't worry, my dear fellow. I've not lost my wits. I've taken precautions which will enable me to trace any or all of these men. Look down here and breathe deeply.
What in the world?
It's better than creosote, if one can arrange it. It isn't sticky, which might warn the wearer that something was adhering to the soles of his boots. It is powerful and long-lasting, and I very much doubt that Toby will be confused by anything remotely similar. Unless, of course, the trail leads us through a kitchen. Go on, smell it, boy. Smell it. I poured this here before I left last night. They all trod in it. Moriarty, his two accomplices, and the wheel of the cab that took him away some hours ago.
And now?
And now Toby will follow the wheel of the cab. At some point he will exhibit uncertainty, and we will look for the trail to continue on foot.
Are we not too late?
I think not. The fog that delayed your arrival no doubt interfered with his escape as well. Come on, boy. Come on, Toby.
I breathed an inward sigh of relief that I'd changed my footwear. Else the sweet substance had led that exemplary canine to me before we'd travelled 2 yards. The game would have been up before it had started. As it was, I was hard-pressed to maintain the cur's pace.
Listen.
What is it?
Victoria Station. Precisely what I foresaw. Let us find out how long it has been since the Continental Express has gone and how long before it departs again.
And so we took the train to Dover and thence crossed to the continent. Every time the train halted, we provided Toby with a reminder of the vanilla extract from a bottle and proceeded to promenade with him around the station platforms, always without success. Toby, as I had every reason to know, was retaining his character for infallibility. Vienna! Our long journey ended at the Vienna Bahnhof. Incredibly, Toby recovered the scent of vanilla extract and took us directly to the cab rank before the station.
It would appear the Professor engaged a cab. Cabs that cater to the railway trade invariably return to the terminus after they have delivered their fare. At least that tends to be the case in London. Let us find out if the same rule obtains on the continent.
Toby examined each of the cabs without success. However, just as we were ourselves about to commandeer a hansom and go to an hotel...
He's found it. Invaluable creature.
Cabby, mein Herr, sometime in the last few hours you picked up a fare at this station, a little man of advancing years, very pale.
Ach, ja.
Good. Will you kindly take us to his destination?
If I can remember where.
Perhaps these Kronen will help you refresh your memory?
Yeah, now it comes to me.
How very fortunate. Come, Toby. In.
Whew. Whew.
Just think of it, Watson. Halfway across Europe. We are the last thing he expects. What a confrontation, eh?
I think perhaps
One moment, my dear fellow. This is where you brought him?
To this house, yeah?
Number 19, Berggasse. Very well.
Holmes, there's something that I should...
No, not now, Watson. We mustn't disturb Toby's concentration. Well, boy? Excellent canine. Ring the bell, Watson.
Oh, Holmes, I really think that
Go on, boy. Beard him in his lair.
Oh, very well.
Jawohl.
We are here to see Herr Professor Moriarty.
Herr Professor?
This is Sherlock Holmes?
Ah, Herr Holmes. You come in. Und der Hund, ja? Come.
We appear to be expected.
This way you come. I take the dog for you, yes? And give him something to eat.
Thank you, I think not.
Holmes, surely no harm will come to Toby. The Professor would never dare anything so precipitate.
You think not? Oh, very well, perhaps not. But no bones, mind. You understand? No bones.
No bones. Yeah.
Well, Watson, what do you make of this?
I don't know what to make of it. Do you?
Good morning, Herr Holmes. And you, Dr. Watson. I'm glad to see you. Come into my study, please.
You may remove that ludicrous beard. And kindly refrain from employing that ridiculous comic operetta accent. I warn you, you'd best confess, or it will go hard with you, Professor Moriarty.
My name is Sigmund Freud.
You are not Professor Moriarty? But Moriarty was here. Where is he now?
At an hotel, I believe.
I see.
Watson, you have delivered me into the hands of my enemies. I trust they will recompense you for the trouble you took on their behalf.
Oh, Holmes.
I recognized your footprints outside the professor's home, of course, and I perceived that you brought with you your Gladstone bag, suggesting that you knew we should be going on a journey. I was able to see for myself that you prepared for a voyage precisely as long as the one we undertook. I only wish to know what you plan to do with me now that I am in your power.
If you will permit me a word, I believe you're doing your friend a grave injustice, Herr Holmes. He and your brother paid Professor Moriarty to journey here in the hope that you would follow him to my door.
And why did they do that?
Because they were certain it was the only way they could induce you to see me.
And why were they so eager for that particular event?
What reason occurs to you? Who am I that your friends should wish us to meet?
Beyond the fact that you are a brilliant Jewish physician who was born in Hungary and studied for a time in Paris, and that some radical theories of yours have alienated the respectable medical community so that you have severed your connections with various hospitals and branches of the medical fraternity. Beyond this, I can deduce little. You are married, you have a young daughter, you enjoy Shakespeare, and possess a sense of honor.
But this is wonderful.
Commonplace. I am still awaiting an explanation.
But you must tell me how you guessed the details of my life with such an uncanny accuracy.
I never guess. It is an appalling habit, destructive to the logical faculties. Private study is the ideal place for observing facets of a man's character. That the study belongs to you exclusively is evident from the dust. Not even the maid is permitted here. Else she would scarcely have ventured to let matters come to this pass.
Go on.
Very well. The 9-branched candelabra on top of your desk confirms my suspicion that you are of the Jewish faith. It is called a menorah, is it not?
Exactly.
That you studied medicine in Paris is to be inferred from the great number of medical texts in that language. Where else should a German use French textbooks but in France? And who but a brilliant German could study the complexities of medicine in a foreign tongue? That you are fond of Shakespeare is to be deduced by the book being upside down. The fact that you have not adjusted the volume suggests to my mind that you no doubt intended referring to it again in the near future. That you are a physician is evident when I observe that you maintain a consulting room. Your separation from various societies is indicated by these blank spaces surrounding your diploma, clearly used at one time to display additional certificates. Now, what can it be that forces a man to remove such testimonials to his success? Why, only that he has ceased to affiliate himself with those various societies, hospitals, and so forth. Why? I have no idea. Some position you have taken, evidently a professional one, has discredited you in their eyes. I take the liberty of inferring a theory of some sort, too radical or shocking to gain ready acceptance in current medical thinking. The wedding ring you wear tells me of your marriage. That doll in the corner suggests a daughter. Your Balkanized accent hints Hungary or Moravia. Have I omitted anything of importance?
My sense of honor.
It is implied by the fact that you have removed the plaques from societies to which you no longer belong. In the privacy of your study, only you would know the difference. Now I think it is for you to do some explaining. In candor, I ask you again why I have been brought here.
You cannot guess.
I cannot think.
Then it is you, not I, who is being less than candid, Herr Holmes. For you are suffering an abominable addiction. And you choose to wrong your brother and your friend, who have combined to help you throw off its yoke. You disappoint me, sir. Can you be the man I have come to admire, not merely for his brain, but for his passion for justice? In your heart of hearts, you must acknowledge your illness and your hypocrisy in condemning your staunch friends.
I have been guilty of these things. I make no excuse. But as for help, you must put it from your minds, both of you. I have summoned all my will to the task, but it is no use. My feet are on the inexorable path to destruction.
A man may sometimes retrace his steps.
Not from the fiendish coils of drug addiction. No man can do it.
I have.
You?
I have taken cocaine and am free of its power. It is now my intention to help others. If you will allow me, I will help you.
You cannot do this.
I can, but it will take time and it will not be pleasant. For the duration, I have arranged for both of you to remain here as my guests. Will that be agreeable to you?
No use. Even now I am overcome by this hideous compulsion.
I will reduce this compulsion for a time. Through hypnosis, I will banish your craving when it exerts itself. In this way, we shall artificially reduce your addiction until the chemistry of your body completes the process. Now, I want you to keep your eyes fastened upon my pocket watch as it swings. I want you to think of nothing else.
In a matter of moments, As the detective followed the tiny pendulum, the lids of his usually keen grey eyes assumed a hooded aspect, and finally the pupils themselves rolled upwards in their sockets, and Holmes succumbed to lassitude and slept. Dr. Freud and I managed to carry his emaciated form upstairs.
Quickly, we must search all his possessions.
Here, 4 bottles of cocaine in his bag.
2 in his Inverness travelling cloak. Ah, success.
Wait, Doctor, we're not dealing with an ordinary patient. I'll empty the Gladstone.
Yes. Fresh linen. The Times of London. Open to the agony column. Hey, what's this?
An actor's kit. Grease paint and a false nose. His blind beggar's disguise.
Extraordinary man. The bag is completely empty.
And yet it is too heavy.
A false bottom.
Look here. His syringe.
Yes.
20 bottles. His real cash.
Ingenious. Come, Doctor. We must pour it all down the sink.
He pocketed the syringe, and we settled in armchairs in the corner of the room.
Schnapps?
Ah, thank you.
Prost.
Your health. How did you become interested in cocaine?
It is a sideline, not directly connected with my researches. A friend of mine died last year of its terrible properties. I was partly responsible. I wrote a paper about it afterwards.
That was the piece I chanced upon in the Lancet. You're mainly involved in research, then?
I was trained as a neuropathologist with a background in localized diagnosis, but there's no formal designation for what I am now. I started out mapping the nervous system, and now I am interested in charting the mind itself. I am interested in an area of the brain I call the unconscious.
You are an alienist.
I use hypnosis to dig into my patients' unconscious minds, where I believe their hysterical symptoms originate. For example, Herr Holmes' dependence on cocaine strikes me as a symptom, an effect rather than a cause.
Oh, what makes you say that?
Elementary, my dear fellow. Knowing something as I do about narcotics and narcotic addiction, I don't believe a man succumbs to their destructive appeal out of mere boredom.
Then what on earth...
The snake! Oh, a snake, for pity's sake!
Holmes!
Awake!
Do you see it, Watson? Quick! I mean, the riding crop, man! Keep still at the fangs! Don't let it see me! Watson is coming! Do you see what? Watson, a swamp adder, the deadliest snake in India! Oh, feed the snake in the grass!
You had a dream.
Oh, a dream. Yes, stranger. I don't often remember them.
But this one you did?
Yes.
It was about a snake?
A snake, that's right. I dreamt about a case I once had occasion to solve, a rather diabolic plot to do away with a young lady.
Indeed.
But in my dream, the most curious thing, the viper turned into Professor Moriarty.
Professor Moriarty?
Yes. Do you place much stock in dreams, Doctor? Are they omens which foretell the future?
I don't know what dreams tell. Lately, I've been toying with the idea.
Oh, can you see it? Do you see it?
Calm yourself.
You idiot! You don't understand. The snake must... Oh. Let me go, you insufferable cripple!
You must go back to bed, dear Holmes.
The snake...
Come, let me help
the snake.
you. Yes, the snake. Now, rest
the red-headed
now.
man, he's the spy.
Rest, you must rest.
He's a spy, for God's sake. Don't you see this?
Sherlock Holmes' attempt to escape the coils of the cocaine in which he was so deeply enmeshed was perhaps the most harrowing and heroic effort I have ever witnessed. On the 4th day following the onset of his fever and delirium, he awoke, seemingly calm and with a normal temperature.
Watson, is that you?
Yes. You are on your way to recovery, my dear fellow.
Oh.
His pulse is weak, but steady. He appears to have thrown off the addiction.
You say we've weaned him from the fiend?
Temporarily, but we appear also to have weaned him from his spirit. There is an old proverb that suggests that the cure is sometimes more deadly than the disease.
What could we do? Allow him to poison himself?
No. Herr Holmes, how do you feel?
Not well.
Do you remember Professor Moriarty?
My evil genius.
What about him?
I know what you want me to say, Doctor. Very well, I shall oblige you. The only time Professor Moriarty truly occupied the role of my evil genius was when it took him 3 weeks to make clear to me the mysteries of elementary calculus.
I am not so much interested in your saying it, but in your understanding it to be true.
I understand it. Watson, come closer, old friend. You are my old friend, are you not?
You know I am.
I do not remember much of the past few hours, or was it days?
It is over and done with. Do not think about what has happened. It is over.
I say I do not remember much, but I do seem to recall screaming at you, shouting terrible things. Did I do that, Watson, or did I just imagine it?
You just imagined it, my dear fellow.
Because if I did do that, say those things, I want you to know that I did not mean it. Will you forgive me for that monstrous calumny? Will you?
Holmes, I beg you.
You had best leave now. He will sleep.
Holmes' progress over the next few days was minimal. If he took no further interest in the drug, neither did he evince curiosity regarding anything else. He now took his meals with the rest of the household, sitting silent through all the attempts we made at conversation. Following breakfast one morning, Dr. Freud invited us to accompany him to the Maumberg, his exclusive club, for some indoor tennis. I was not surprised when Holmes chose to remain behind. The Maumberg was located south of the Hofburg. Its tennis courts were enclosed in a huge wrought iron structure, rather like a greenhouse. As we entered the dressing room where the doctor kept his tennis costume, we passed a group of young fellows who were drinking beer from some tall tapered glasses, their feet propped up on benches and towels draped carelessly about their necks. As we passed, I heard one of their number, a young man with a saber scar disfiguring his otherwise handsome if cold features, choke on his drink and laugh.
Juden in the Maumberg! I say, this place has gone to the dogs since last I set foot here.
Were you referring to me?
I beg your pardon?
It might interest you to know, mein Herr, that since you have last set foot here, which apparently was never, since you appear totally ignorant of the composition of this club, to say nothing of its manners, the membership has become more than a third Jewish.
Dr. Freud, is it? Not the same Dr. Freud who was asked to leave the staff of the Allgemeines Krankenhaus because of his charming assertions that young men sleep with their mothers. By the way, Doctor, did you sleep with your mother?
It was at that point I could no longer restrain myself, and I acted somewhat precipitately. I seized a beaker of beer from the table and flung it into that insufferable young man's face.
Will you step out, mein Herr? My seconds will call upon you at your convenience.
Your quarrel is with me. He merely bore the challenge.
I challenged him for myself, Dr. Freud.
Doctor, I beg you, let me fight my own battles. Well?
At your convenience, Herr Doctor. You know who I am?
I do not know who you are. I know what you are. That is enough. And I am the injured party. The choice of weapons is mine, and the time is now. I shall undertake to beat you in a set of tennis.
Tennis?
My choice of weapons. Yes or no?
Very well, Herr Doctor. I shall attend you on the courts.
I shall not keep you waiting.
That man's comments. You don't seriously contend that boys, that they... Well...
Set your mind at rest, Doctor. I do not contend that at all.
You do not fear losing the match?
My dear Doctor, it is only a game.
It may have been a game to Freud, but his opponent was in deadly earnest. He was in far better training than the physician. He drove his shots deep and with considerable accuracy. Freud answered them as best he could, but appeared in no way discomfited when he was not able to return them. During the third game, he did slightly better and reached deuce before surrendering the point. I took it upon myself to draw some water for him as the play was halted for the switching of sides.
You did rather better that last round.
I hope to do better still. His game is without a backhand. Have you noticed? Every point I've drawn has been to his backhand. Watch.
I watched the tide turn slowly but inexorably. Freud took game after game away from the younger man. At first, his opponent could not understand what was happening. It was not until the score was tied at 3 games that he realized Freud's strategy was deliberate, and knowing his own weakness, stood farther and farther to the left of court in hopes of forestalling the doctor's tactics. But Freud quickly perceived his intentions and frustrated them by shooting his returns down the right-hand alley. And when his opponent did reach them in time, Freud exploited the exposed backhand once more, hitting deftly cross-court again. Anger led the ruffian into errors he should never have made, and Freud drew the set to a close within an hour.
Net to Dr. Freud, 6 games to 3.
Is honor satisfied?
Gott in Himmel!
The young man spun on his heels and left the arena. I said nothing of Dr. Freud's encounter at dinner. Holmes remained silent and failed once again to take any interest in either the conversation or his plate. Then, while the maid served coffee, Freud excused himself and returned, carrying a familiar-shaped case.
A violin?
Not a Stradivarius, I fear. It belonged to an uncle of mine. I thought you might like to use it while you're here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
As I lay in bed that night attempting to sleep, I could hear Holmes quietly scraping away into the wee hours. The music was haunting and desperately sad, but had the eventual effect of lulling me gently to sleep. The episode with the violin proved that his soul was not charred beyond igniting, but whether music was sufficient in itself for the purpose, this I instinctively doubted. The next morning at breakfast, Sherlock Holmes was once more taciturn and morose.
Try the schnitzel, Herr Holmes. Oh. See who is at the door, please, Anna?
Yes, Mama.
Who could that be at this hour?
This schnitzel is delicious.
Oh, thank you, Herr Doctor.
You haven't touched your breakfast there, Holmes.
Yes. Oh, see here, Holmes, you must eat.
There's an orderly from the hospital, Mama.
Oh, what can they want?
He brought a message for Papa.
I see. I would be pleased if you could spare the time to consult with me about a most peculiar case. The patient cannot or will not speak a word, and though she is frail, her health appears perfectly sound. Could you find a moment to stop by and conduct a brief examination? Your methods are a little off the beaten track, but I have always respected them. Signed, Schultz. Would you care to accompany me, gentlemen, and see the recalcitrant woman?
Come on, Holmes. The fresh air will do you good.
Oh, very well.
It was no great distance to the hospital, and we hurried there at once, where we were met by Dr. Schultz.
She was observed attempting to throw herself into the canal from the Augarten Bridge. Bystanders tried to stop her, but she succeeded in breaking free and throwing herself in anyway. The question is, what now? If you can find out who she is or anything of the kind, I shall be forever in your debt.
We found a woman sitting in a chair, staring out of wide, unblinking eyes. She was obviously undernourished, and her skin had a delicate blue tint. I should have said she was exhausted, had not the rigid quality of her posture proclaimed that she was under the highest tension.
There she is. I am due in surgery. Just leave word for me in my office, if you will be so kind. I will look in on her again tomorrow.
Freud gently held her wrist to gauge her pulse, but when he released his hold, the limb dropped back into her lap like a dead thing.
You see, They call me only when they don't know what else to do.
What made her hysterical?
That is not beyond surmise, surely. Poverty, despair, desertion. At the end of her tether, she decides to end her life, and being deprived of that goal, she retreats into the state in which we find her.
What will you do?
I will see if I can hypnotize her. Keep your eye on my watch as it swings before you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, you are all right. You will be able to talk and to answer some very simple questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
What is your name?
My name is Nancy.
What is your full name?
Slater. Nancy Osborne Slater. Von Leinsdorf.
All right, Nancy. Tell me, where are you from?
Providence.
It is the capital of Rhode Island, I believe, the smallest of the United States.
And what are you doing in Vienna?
I spent my honeymoon in an attic.
All right, now, relax. You are all right. Doesn't make any sense.
Ask her some more questions. Where was she married?
Tell me, Nancy, where are you married?
In a meat house.
A meat house?
You say your name is von Leinsdorf. Who is von Leinsdorf? Your husband?
Yes.
Baron Karl von Leinsdorf?
Yes.
The Baron is dead.
No.
All right. Relax. Please relax. Nancy.
Who is Baron Karl von Leinsdorf?
An elderly peer of the realm. A cousin to the Emperor, I believe. But he died some weeks ago. I confess I am at a loss.
May I pose a question or two?
You?
If you don't mind. I may be able to shed some small light in the darkness that surrounds us.
It cannot do any harm. I've known my friend make sense out of what was far less sensible.
Very well, but be quick. She's exhausted, and I can't keep her in trance much longer. Nancy, there is someone here who would like to talk to you. You may speak as freely to him as you did to me. Are you ready?
Yes.
Nancy, tell me who bound your wrists and ankles.
What?
I don't know.
They used leather, didn't they?
Yes.
And put you in a garret.
What?
An attic.
Yes.
Tell me, Nancy, how did you escape? How did you leave the attic?
I broke the window.
With your feet?
Yes.
Holmes, however did you guess this?
See, gentlemen, these bluish marks upon the lady's wrists and ankles. Only her own courage and determination enabled her to escape confinement. Note these dried cuts on the back of her feet. She used them without shoes to break a window in her prison, and then used the shards of broken glass to free herself from her bonds. A second-story window.
How can you know that?
Look at the palms of her hands. She lacerated them, sliding down to the ground, probably holding onto a drain pipe.
All right, Nancy. Now, sleep. Sleep now. Go to sleep.
We left the hospital and shortly afterwards were sitting in a little cafe, pondering the problem of the woman who called herself Nancy Osborne Slater von Leinsdorf.
What does it all mean?
Villainy. We do not know how much of her story is true, but it is certain the lady was bound hand and foot and starved in a garret.
Then we are in the presence of some monstrous crime. And to think I was prepared to categorize her as a lunatic, that I could not see...
You saw, but you did not observe. The distinction is an important one, and sometimes makes a critical difference.
But who is she? Is she really from Rhode Island?
It is a cardinal error to theorize in advance of the facts. Inevitably, it biases the judgment.
Shall we inform the police?
She was in the hands of the police when she was discovered. If they did nothing for her then, what should they do now?
Would you consider looking into the matter yourself?
I? But Surely my condition...
Work is the very thing you need, Holmes.
Dr. Watson is right. Work at this point would greatly facilitate your cure.
Very well. First, we must find out about Baron von Leinsdorf, who he was, what he died of, when, and so forth, and, of course, whether or not he possessed a wife, and if so, of what nationality. Since our client is unable to answer certain questions, we must work the case from its other end. Is there an Austrian equivalent to Burke's peerage? Perhaps the afternoon would not be wasted if you were to look up some details regarding the late Baron von Leinsdorf.
Very well. A little detective work, yeah? I shall enjoy this.
Good. Then we shall meet at your house shortly. In the meantime, Watson and I will walk back. It will give me time to think.
We paid our bill and set forth towards Waringerstrasse. Holmes said little on our way home, though he stopped at a telegraph office and dispatched a wire.
The answer to this should tell us something more about our American heiress.
When we returned to Bergasse, Dr. Freud was already at home. He reported to Holmes the fruits of his research.
Baron Karl Helmut Wolfgang von Leinsdorf was a second cousin to the Emperor Franz Joseph on his mother's side. He himself was from Bavaria, not Austria, and the bulk of his estate, which consists of factories devoted to the manufacture of armaments and munitions, is located in the Ruhr Valley of Germany. The Baron has been a pillar, albeit a reclusive one, of Viennese society. He was devoted to the theatre. He had been married twice, first to a lesser Habsburg princess who died some 20 years ago, leaving him with an only son as heir. Young Manfred Gottfried Karl Wolfgang von Leinsdorf enjoys a rather less savoury reputation than his late father. A prodigal, his gaming debts are said to be enormous, and his character, particularly where women are concerned, is known to be totally unscrupulous. He had been to Heidelberg for 3 years, but left that seat of learning somewhat under a cloud. His political views are said to be extremely conservative.
And the old Baron's second marriage?
Was made 2 months before his death. On a voyage to America, he made the acquaintance of the Providence textile heiress, Nancy Osborne Slater. They were married almost at once.
Why the rush? Surely people of means and station habitually prolong the ritual of betrothal for all the festivity it is worth.
The Baron was nearly 70. Perhaps, in view of his death, which occurred so soon after the nuptials, he had an inkling...
Quite so. Curiouser and curiouser.
They returned to Europe on the cutter Alicia sometime in mid-March and went straight to the Baron's villa in Bavaria, a virtually inaccessible retreat, I'm told, where the Baron died some 3 weeks ago.
Were you able to determine the cause of death?
No, but he was no longer young, as I've said.
But in good health?
So far as I was able to learn.
Interesting.
But hardly conclusive. After all, when an elderly man, even one enjoying the benefits of good health, takes a wife less than half his age...
This speculation is most interesting. However, it is getting late, and we have seats for the opera tonight.
Oh, yes, of course. And the great Slezak is singing, is he not?
The opera being given that night was something or other of Wagner's, but I cannot remember for the life of me just what it was. I loathed the music with a passion, but Holmes adored Wagner. He said it helped him to introspect. He was utterly enraptured from the moment the music commenced. If any person in that place was more wearied by the opera than I, it was Freud. Some of the stage effects were quite beguiling. A dragon, cleverly simulated by a most complex piece of machinery, appeared at one point, and the great Slezak prepared to slay it. The dragon, however, began to sing, and soon sent Freud off to sleep. It must have had the same effect on me. The next thing I knew, the gas was up, and people were rising from their seats. During the first interval, we sauntered to the vestibule in search of champagne. As we drew near the overhanging boxes of the first tier, Holmes stopped and looked up at them.
If Baron von Leinsdorf patronized the theatre, then perhaps he also maintained a box at the opera. Let us make an effort to find out.
Holmes, perhaps I can help. Do you see that man with the champagne glass? He is here often, I think.
Freud was indicating a very tall gentleman who was heading towards us. Fastidiously dressed, he peered at the world through the thickest lens pince-nez I've ever seen.
May I present Hugo von Hofmannsthal? My wife, you know, I believe?
Guten Tag, my friend.
And these gentlemen are my guests. Herr Holmes and Dr. Watson.
Not Herr Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson? This is indeed an honor.
No less for ourselves, if we are addressing the author of Gestern.
That is my work.
And your collaborator is the composer Richard Strauss, is it not?
Indeed.
I'm very much interested in your work.
Oh, and I and yours. Is it that you are on a case here?
Yes and no. Tell me, does the new Baron von Leinsdorf take the same interest in the opera that his father did?
It is strange that you should ask.
Why strange?
Because until tonight, my answer would have been no. I have never known him to take any interest in opera at all. And, to be candid, I feared that music in Vienna had lost a powerful benefactor when the old Baron died.
And now?
And now he comes to the opera.
Then he is here tonight?
I show him to you. Look at the tiers. There. Third from the left. Doctor. Isn't that...
Yes, I believe so.
Then you know the Baron?
Not before this afternoon. We had occasion to play a set of tennis.
Tennis? Who won?
Dr. Freud did. The Baron has no backhand.
How unfortunate. That must cramp his style. And who is the lady?
That is his stepmother, I believe. The American heiress, Nancy Osborne Slater von Leinsdorf.
Hugo von Hofmannsthal's identification of the woman in Baron von Leinsdorf's box as his widow utterly exploded even Holmes' passion for Wagner. If this were true, then who on earth was our client? Back once more at Bergasse 19, Freud offered us brandy and cigars. Holmes contented himself with his pipe.
I'm afraid my grasp of continental politics is not particularly profound. Dr. Freud, could you assist me? It seems to me quite evident that a European war is brewing. Am I right?
A European war?
Of monstrous proportions, if I read the signs aright.
How can you infer this from what you've seen today?
From the rapport between Baroness von Leinsdorf and her stepson.
I did not observe any particular rapport.
That is because there was none. Dr. Freud, is there an office of registry in Vienna where wills are on file?
Well, yes.
Good. Then I should be obliged if you would have the goodness to spend some time there tomorrow morning and tell me who controls the bulk of Baron von Leinsdorf's estate.
I have a patient at 10.
Dr. Freud, will you believe me when I tell you that not one, but millions of lives are at stake?
Very well. I shall do as you ask. And what will you do?
With the help of Dr. Watson, I will search for a chink in the armour of our enemies. Can our client travel tomorrow? Gentlemen, do you think?
Travel how far?
Oh, only within the city. I should like her to meet someone.
I don't see why not.
Excellent. Our day has been long, and as the succeeding ones promise to be longer, I think it is time to retire.
I, too, was exhausted, but my brain kept racing long after my body was still, trying to piece together the puzzle upon which we had stumbled in the course of our visit to this beautiful yet increasingly sinister city. The next morning, we three shared a hasty breakfast and were about to depart on our several errands when a telegram arrived.
It is for you, Herr Holmes.
Let me see. No, our plans are unchanged. And now, my dear Watson, let us be on our way.
We proceeded by fiacre directly to the hospital, where a note in Freud's handwriting secured us the custody of the patient. She was much improved physically, but still spoke not a word. Where are we taking her, Holmes?
All in good time, Watson. All in good time.
He smiled reassuringly at our client, but she stared straight ahead, her blue-grey eyes vacantly devoid of expression. The fiacre crossed the Danube Canal and entered a section of the city occupied by palatial residences. We stopped at length on Wallensteinstrasse and turned into a wide drive that led to a house situated on a slight rise of ground. A closed carriage stood beneath the porte-cochere, and as we handed down our client, the door to the house opened, and out stepped a gentleman of medium height with the straightest back I have ever seen. Though dressed in mufti, his movements bore that unmistakable precision one associates not merely with the military, but with the strictest Prussian training. His face struck me as vaguely familiar.
Do you recall having seen that gentleman recently?
Yes, but I can't for the life of me think where. Holmes,
Whose house is this?
It is the Vienna residence of Baron von Leinsdorf.
Holmes, this is monstrous.
Why so? The Baron is not here at the moment.
Ja?
I am Sherlock Holmes. Kindly tell the Baroness we are here to see her.
Einen Moment, bitte.
But if the Baron should return, you've no idea what harm this confrontation might do to the lady. Surely you ought to have discussed the matter with Doctor...
My dear Watson, time is of the essence, and if it is possible, we must force a play. In any event, she does not appear to be reacting to the sight of the house. Who knows? If she does, it may turn out to be just the sort of shock to get her back on her feet.
If you will follow me, I shall conduct you to the Baroness.
We had need of a guide. The place was so labyrinthine. When we arrived, we found the beautiful woman we had glimpsed the previous evening at the opera.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I believe. To what do I owe that? Good God! Is it Nora? What has happened? She's very changed.
You know the lady?
Know her? Why, to be sure I know her. This is my personal maid, Nora Simmons. She's been missing for weeks without a trace. Oh, great heavens, Nora. What has happened? And however did you contrive to reach Vienna?
I fear you will find her unable to answer your questions. She is in a catatonic state, resulting from the shock of having been abducted and held against her will.
But this is monstrous. She was abducted.
So it would appear. Do I understand you to say that she accompanied your ladyship to Bavaria?
She never left my side from the moment we sailed, except for her days off. It was under those circumstances that she disappeared some 3 weeks ago.
The day of the Baron's death?
Why, yes. Nora was not in the villa when the misfortune occurred. She was in the town below us, Ergelsbach, I believe it is called. In the confusion, she was not missed. In any case, it was her day off. When she did not return the following morning, I thought that perhaps, having learned of the tragedy, she had for some reason fallen into a panic. Hers was an excitable and nervous disposition, as I had good cause to know. When she failed to return, and sent no word of farewell, I began to fear something untoward had occurred, and informed the police.
You suspected foul play?
I did not know what to think.
And the police were unable to discover the whereabouts of your maid?
They could do nothing. Dear girl, how relieved I am to find you.
May one inquire in what manner your husband met his death?
His heart.
I am sorry to hear it. Well, it appears our business here is finished, Watson. We have solved our little mystery. Madame, we are sorry to have intruded upon your grief and valuable time.
But surely you are not taking her from me. I have only just regained her, and I assure you, Mr. Holmes, she is essential to my happiness.
In her present condition, she could hardly be of use to you. She needs to be looked after, not to look after others.
Oh, but I shall look after her myself. Have I not said that she is my companion as well as my servant?
I'm afraid such a solution is quite impossible at present, as your maid is under the care of Dr. Sigmund Freud of the Allgemeines Krankenhaus.
But...
On the other hand, it is just possible that I can persuade the doctor to release the woman into your custody. In Providence, you no doubt involved yourself in church work among the destitute and homeless.
I was very active in parish work of that sort.
I thought as much. You may rest assured I will communicate that fact to Dr. Freud, and he will no doubt consider it when the time comes to decide upon the proper disposition of his patient. Goodbye.
Good day, Mark.
A very excellent performance, Watson. One in which sheer nerve and ingenuity were matched with the consummate artistry of an Ellen Terry. Of course, they were prepared for this sort of eventuality. The woman has been cleverly coached.
She was an impostor, then?
This wretched woman here with us is the bona fide Baroness von Leinsdorf, for all the good it will do her. Yet we may, before this business is done, be able to restore some of her rights. Not her sanity.
How do you know the other is lying?
It may interest you, Watson, to know that the Slaters of Rhode Island have for more than 200 years belonged to the religious sect known as Quakers. The telegram I received confirmed that. Quakers do not attend church. They go to meeting, and they certainly would not refer to charity work as parish work. Oh, and incidentally, I have just recalled where we saw Count von Schlieffen before.
Count who?
Von Schlieffen, Watson, von Schlieffen, the gentleman who passed us as we came in. His sketch appeared in the Times some month ago. Did you not see it? If my memory serves, he has just been named Chief of the German General Staff.
That evening, we gathered in the study of Bergasse 19.
I believe, Dr. Freud, you're going to tell us that the will leaves everything to the new Baroness.
If you knew the provision of the Baron's will, you might have said so.
Your morning has not been wasted. Your data have confirmed my suspicions. The time has now arrived to marshal our facts and see if they're covered by our theories. Let me ask you one final question, however, before I pronounce my case complete. What manner of man is Germany's Kaiser?
He is bright, apparently, but excitable, given to fits of impatience with those around him. Actually, I have had a theory about the Kaiser for some time now.
I shall be most interested in hearing it.
You may have known, either from seeing pictures of him or from reading on the subject, that the Kaiser possesses a withered arm.
A withered arm?
It has occurred to me that perhaps the Kaiser's insistent emphasis on displays of strength, his love of colourful uniforms, the parades, the medals with which he adorns himself, it occurred to me that these bellicose loves are all in some way manifestations of his feelings of personal inadequacy. They might all be construed as an elaborate compensation for the withered arm.
This is most remarkable. You know what you've done? You've succeeded in taking my methods, observation and inference, and applied them to the inside of a subject's head.
Scarcely a subject. In any event, your methods, as you refer to them, are not covered by a patent, I trust.
Remarkable. Remarkable. It also conforms to certain facts and theories I shall now lay before you. You know, Doctor, I shouldn't be surprised if your application of my methods proves in the long run far more important than the mechanical uses I make of them. Now then, let me tell you a story. A wealthy widower with an only son he does not care for particularly and who does not care for him goes travelling to the United States. There he meets a young woman half his age, yet in spite of this disparity, or perhaps because of it, they fall in love. Knowing that his own years are numbered, they are married without delay. The woman comes from a well-to-do Quaker background, and the two are joined together in a Quaker church, known as a meeting house. This phrase, later mumbled by our client, was understood by us as meat house. The couple returns to the isolated home of the husband in Bavaria, where the first thing the bridegroom does is to alter his will in favour of his bride. His respect for her religious views on the subject make it impossible for him to retain control of an empire dedicated to the manufacture of war material. Having neither the strength nor the inclination to devote his last years to the dismantling of his factories, he very simply puts the entire matter into her hands in the event of his death, to do with as she sees fit. The old gentleman, however, has not reckoned with the wrath of his prodigal son. Finding his hopes cut off literally from untold millions, this young devil proves capable of drastic steps to regain them. Politically conservative himself and raised in the new Germany, he possesses certain connections and he uses them. Offers are made to certain people who have no intention of allowing a foreign commoner to dismantle the core of the Kaiser's war machine. The young man is given carte blanche and is no doubt assigned some help. We have yet to discover how it was managed, but he somehow accomplishes the death of his father.
Holmes.
And then proceeds to spirit his stepmother out of Germany and into a garret near the Danube Canal here in Vienna. The father's will is on file in the two countries where he holds property, and the bride is now urged to sign over her interest to the son. This she courageously refuses to do. But in her lonely confinement, her mind begins to give way. Ingeniously she manages to escape. When she is free, however, the utter hopelessness of her situation is borne in upon her. The bridge is the nearest and simplest solution, but passing constables prevent it, at which point she retreats into the catatonic state in which we found her.
But what of the lady we saw at the opera?
And the young man we are playing against is as bold as he is cunning. Upon learning that his stepmother has escaped, he makes a quick decision. He elects to ignore her. Let her tell her story to whoever can understand it. He would not make himself conspicuous by searching for her. He would hire someone to assume her place and bluff through the business of the will with a simple forged signature. For who, when all was said and done, would care to contest the widow's decision? I do not know where he discovered his clever pupil. Possibly she is the very maid she pretended to recognize, or else perhaps some American actress down on her luck and stranded far from home. But whoever she is, she has been coached well. Foreseeing the slim possibility that his stepmother would be discovered, he even provided her substitute with that convincing business about the missing maid. The question now...
Ja.
Papa, this message was brought by an orderly from the hospital.
Let me see. This is from Dr. Schultz. He wonders what has become of the woman since she had been left in my hands.
They've taken her. Fool that I am to have thought they would hesitate whilst I stood babbling here. Fräulein Anna, ask your mother to tell the police to meet us at 76 Wallensteinstrasse. Hurry, gentlemen, we have not a moment to lose. Though we have nothing so much as a deranged woman at one end of our trail, there lurks a European conflagration at the other.
Holmes leapt into his Inverness and raced into the street, Dr. Freud and I hard behind him. We secured a cab and bid the driver hasten with all due speed to the Baron's residence, where we found the Viennese constabulary already in the grounds.
Herr Holmes, we have just arrived, but the house is closed and no one appears within.
As I surmised, we are too late.
This is not a reflection on us, I hope. We got here so soon as we were notified.
No. The fault is none of yours, though your men have made a fine mess of the ground. Could not be worse if the Lipizzaner stallions had performed here. Still, we may as well have a look.
Herr Holmes, your reputation is well known to us, and the prefect has ordered me to place my men at your disposal.
Really? It's a pity they don't share your prefect's views at the yard.
Holmes made a hasty examination of the area by the porte cochere. Suddenly he halted, his body quivering over some detail in the ground.
There is every indication they have placed the woman inside a large steamer trunk and are carrying her with them out of the country.
Where is he taking her?
Where? What? Where? Right, Bavaria, of course. Blast! If he leaves the country with her, we may never see her again. Quick, the station!
The startled driver thundered across Vienna, and we arrived at the Heiligenstadt Bahnhof some minutes later. Before we had stopped, Holmes was on the ground and racing into the building. When we caught up with him, he was already in excited conversation with the station master.
Baron von Leinstoff, of course I remember, but you have missed him. He commissioned a special. He has his own cars, you know. I put together the train myself 3 hours ago.
Bound for München?
Yes.
We will also commission a special. That one right there, if you don't mind.
But no! It takes time to put together a special, and money. And we must telegraph ahead to clear the points.
Watson, your revolver, if you please.
Where was this train originally headed?
This is the Dresden local.
It is now the Bavarian Express.
You will be kind enough to accompany us.
But, no, we haven't enough fuel for München. And the points are all wrong.
We will cross the first obstacle when necessity compels us to, and as for the second, we will switch the points as we go.
I never get your limits, Watson. Off we go, then. Full speed, mind.
This is railway property. You cannot...
The Baron has abducted an American lady.
Who the devil are you?
My name is Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock? We must pack the furnace with coal. Engineer, pour on all speed.
It was a sight I shall not soon forget. The world's greatest detective and the founding father of that branch of medicine known today as psychoanalysis, side by side in their shirt sleeves, piling coal into that boiler as though it was work for which they'd been born.
How much fuel have we left?
If we make it to Steyr, we'll be lucky.
What else can we burn?
There is nothing else, I'm afraid.
Then we are lost.
I'm sorry, Herr Holmes.
Wait, the one car we're pulling, it's made of wood?
Yes, but it is railway property.
We will take the responsibility.
But you cannot reach it without climbing over couplings. And at this speed...
Watson, hand me an axe.
Be careful, Holmes.
We took apart that unfortunate car and burned it piece by piece. As we tore through the night on our mad chase, that car disappeared entirely under our ministrations, and our speed did not slacken. By dawn's light, the city of Steyr was in plain view, when shouts from the engineer and station master drew us to the front of the demolished car. Wonder of wonders! Not 3 miles off, a train was heading southwest with an engine, a tender, and 3 cars in tow.
There they are!
There go, you are a genius. Now we must pour on every ounce of steam we can. We must catch them before they cross the frontier.
We did as Holmes bid and rushed frantically about, heaping the boiler fires higher and whiter than ever with the fragments of that once proud railway carriage. The city of Steyr whipped past at a dizzying speed. Once through the station, it was only a matter of moments before the Baron's train reached the Danube. Oblivious to everything now, we scuttled the remains of that car faster than one would have supposed possible.
They closed the barriers!
Round them!
Someone is on the rear platform!
The Baron!
Down! Berger, how can we put on more speed?
Release the platform!
We climbed through the empty tender and stood over the naked couplings, the ground rushing by below us at a fearful rate. Holmes straddled the huge iron claws, while I got on my stomach and held him firmly around the waist. He threw off the heavy emergency links and then proceeded to undo the revolving bolts. There was a sudden release and a great burst of speed. Had I not been holding fast, Holmes would have toppled to an instant death.
Never let them say you were merely my Boswell, Watson. Never let them say that.
We have burned every scrap of available material. We have released the iron wheels of our only carriage. There is nothing further to be done.
If we do not now close in on that train, all our efforts have been in vain.
The needle on the pressure gauge is dropping.
We have lost him.
Look ahead! There!
Holmes! He has released one of his cars!
Break!
I felt our wheels freeze beneath us and saw sparks fly in every direction from the rails as we struggled to avoid a collision. Everyone braced for the shock, but at the last moment we realized that we were not going to strike after all. The vehicle was obeying the laws of momentum and was now traveling ahead of us through the mountains at a good clip. Holmes, perceiving the situation, threw off his Inverness and started round the cab towards the front of the locomotive.
He has made a fatal mistake. Keep her close, Berger, and put on every ounce you can. Watson, I'll trouble you for your service revolver.
What will you do?
What I can.
Holmes.
Watson, old man, if anything happens, you will think kindly of me, I trust?
Is this necessary? I did not save your life to assist you in throwing it away again.
I can think of nothing else. Goodbye, Freud, and may God bless you for saving my life and for the services you will yet render mankind. Berger, keep her close.
Holmes climbed along the outside of the engine towards the car we were pushing before us as the Baron's train drew nearer and nearer still. In an instant, he made his way into the empty carriage. As we wound among those stupendous mountains, Berger imitated precisely the openings and closings of the other engine's throttle.
Timmy! Pistol shots!
Look! Someone is climbing onto the roof of the car!
It's the Baron!
Off of my revolver! Where is Holmes?
There! Climbing after him!
It was Sherlock Holmes. And like the Baron, he carried a revolver and a sabre. Though how these weapons chanced to be aboard the train, I did not learn until afterwards. The two men faced each other at opposite ends of the trembling car. The Baron whipped round his revolver and fired. His shot went wide. He tried again as Holmes inched forward, but the gun had jammed. With a furious gesture, he hurled it aside. In automatic response, Holmes brought up his own weapon and aimed it.
Shoot, Holmes! Shoot!
If he heard as he gave no sign, nor did he pay any heed when we tried to warn him of the approaching tunnel. But at the last minute he divined the danger and flattened himself to the roof, the pistol flying from his hand as he did so. When we again burst into the daylight, we discerned the combatants with swords in their hands.
If you want the woman, you'll have to fight for her. It will be my honor, Baron.
In an instant they grappled, and their blades crossed, flashing in the clear sunlight. Back and forth they slashed and thrust, struggling to maintain their footing as they fought. Neither was an amateur. Truth forces me to confess, however, that the Baron was Holmes' superior with the sabre. He pressed him slowly, relentlessly back to the end of the car, his satanic features grinning with anticipation as he perceived his advantage. Then Freud shouted into the wind.
Holmes! No backhand! No!
Holmes thrust to the Baron's backhand. He parried clumsily, and Holmes impaled him. The Baron drew back with such force that the sabre hilt was wrenched from my friend's hand. The Baron stood for a moment on the carriage roof, swaying, his evil face immobile with shock. And then with an awful cry, he plunged over the side. At once, Holmes climbed to the end of the car and descended onto the platform between carriages. Freud and I followed by crossing through the car. On its walls were armorial mementos, and it was from one of these gilded crests that Holmes and the Baron had seized their weapons. In desperate haste, we began our search amongst innumerable trunks and portmanteaux.
Look for air holes.
Here! Holmes seized the sword and slid its blade behind the lock of an enormous trunk. With a mighty effort, he tore loose the catch, and he and I, together, threw back the clasps and forced the thing open on its massive hinges. And there, alive, unharmed, and in much the same condition as we had left her, her blue-grey eyes open but unseeing, sat Nancy Osborne Slater von Leinsdorf.
Is she all right?
She will be.
And now let us stop these trains.
The next night, we were once again settled in Freud's study.
No, we've not really prevented a war. The most we can be said to have done is to have postponed it.
But...
No, it's no secret that fleets are building up at Scarpa Flow, and if the Kaiser wishes to go to war with Russia over the Balkans, he will find the means to do so. With the Baron dead and the Baroness incapable, it would not astonish me to learn that the German government has declared the will null and the estates intested. At that time, you and I, Dr. Freud, may find ourselves on opposing sides.
I cannot doubt the truth of your prophecy. Perhaps all our labours have availed nothing.
I should not go quite that far. We have, after all, gained time. You recall Marvell's choice phrase, Watson, had we but world enough and time. Well, what the world needs desperately is time. If our work has gained but an hour more in which to understand the human predicament, it shall not have been in vain.
There are other benefits of a more immediate nature to show for our work. For one thing, we've rescued that unfortunate woman from a fate worse than death. And for another...
Dr. Freud has saved my life. Your hypnotic therapy has rescued me from a terrible addiction, and beyond that, your judgment has saved my life. Your judgment and Watson's here. For him, there will be a lifetime to repay the debt. What can I do for you?
I'll tell you what I should like. Let me hypnotize you once more before you leave.
But I tell you, I'm cured.
It has been observed that the proper study of mankind is man. I thought you might permit me to peer once more into your brain. There is another part of your mind to which I would also like to say farewell.
If you insist.
Holmes, keep your eye on my watch, please. Now, listen carefully to my voice. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you will answer them. When you're finished, I will snap my fingers, and you will awaken. When you do, you will remember nothing that has taken place while you were asleep. Do you understand?
Perfectly.
Very well. When did you first use cocaine?
When I was 20.
Where?
University.
Why?
I was unhappy.
Why did you become a detective?
To punish the wicked and see justice done.
Have you ever known wickedness personally?
Yes.
What was that wickedness?
My mother deceived my father.
She had a lover?
Yes.
What was the injustice?
Mother?
What is it? What do you remember?
My father killed her.
Your father murdered your mother?
Yes.
And the lover, what became of him?
He fled.
Who was he? Who was he?
My tutor.
Your Professor Moriarty?
Oh, yes. Professor Moriarty.
All right. Sleep now. Sleep. I will awaken you shortly, and you'll remember nothing of this interview. Do you understand? Nothing.
I understand.
Good. Sleep now.
The Napoleon of crime.
What?
Holmes was right about him from the very beginning. Professor Moriarty, I mean.
It all becomes clear now. As he himself would observe, see how much is explained by these facts. We understand not only the origins of his addiction and his hatred of Professor Moriarty, but also his distrust of women. So well recorded by you, Doctor. And also his choice of profession. Detector of wickedness punisher of injustice.
It also explains Mycroft Holmes' hold over Moriarty and his own eccentric behavior. Shut up in that club for an eternal bachelorhood. You are the greatest detective of them all.
I am a physician whose province is the troubled mind, which means, in this case, simply that I have borrowed some of your friend's methods and applied them to himself. You will recall, Doctor, that we spoke of an area of the mind I called the unconscious. Well, he has led me to it, given me the clues himself.
But how?
I will confine myself to an observation made by your English playwright, the one he deduced I am so fond of reading. We are such stuff as dreams are made on. Take heart. Your friend is a functioning human being. Within the framework of his unhappiness, he is nevertheless successful and even beloved. Wake up, Herr Holmes.
Did I tell you anything of importance?
It was not very interesting, I'm afraid. Now we must hurry. Your train leaves within the hour, and my wife would like to say goodbye. You have made a conquest. My daughter wishes to study the violin. I hope you will keep this one, by the way, as a souvenir.
We left Vienna after a tearful goodbye with Frau Freud, little Anna Freud, and the maid who had been so kind during Holmes' convalescence. Holmes carried Sigmund Freud's violin. I often thought, during those dark years that opened this century, of Sigmund Freud's brief interior profile of the Kaiser, based on the observation of his withered arm. Though whether he was right or wrong in his conclusions, I cannot say. I was sufficiently distracted en route to be astonished when our cab came to a stop. Holmes, this is a steamship, not a train.
As always, Watson, little escapes your keen powers of observation. We are on a quay abutting the Danube.
We're going back to London.
You are, my dear fellow. I'm not. I need some time to myself, Watson. A little holiday.
Holmes, I don't like this at all. When will you return?
One day. In the meantime, inform my brother of my decision and tell Mrs. Hudson my rooms are not to be touched. Is that clear?
But...
rest assured, my dear fellow, it's only that I must complete my recovery. Give my best to Mrs. Watson.
But how will you live?
You would do well to follow the concert career of a violinist named Sigerson.
But your readers, my readers, what will I tell them?
Anything you like. I know. Tell them...
I watched while the boat pulled away from the pier and steamed up the Danube. I stood for no little while on the dock, wondering when I would next see my friend. My own return trip to England was uneventful. I slept most of the way, the faithful Toby by my side. And when I stepped onto the platform at Victoria, there was my own dear girl waiting for me with a wide smile and open arms. And it will surprise no one to learn that when it came time to write down what had occurred, I followed Sherlock Holmes' advice to the letter.
Tell them I was murdered by my mathematics tutor. They'll never believe you in any case.
The part of Sherlock Holmes was played by Simon Callow. Dr. Watson, Ian Hogg, Sigmund Freud, Carl Johnson. Professor Moriarty and Dr. Schultz, David King. Mycroft and Berger, Philip Voss. Baron von Leinsdorf, Matthew Morgan. Nancy Osborne Slater von Leinsdorf, Melinda Walker. The bogus Baroness von Leinsdorf, Geraldine Fitzgerald. Hugo von Hofmannsthal, Wolf Kahler. With David Bannerman, Kate Binchy, Federer Holmes, Gilly Mears, and David Sinclair. Music by David Chilton and Nicholas Russell Pavia, and the violin played by Steve Bentley. Technical presentation by Carol McShane, Rosamond Mason, and Anne Bunting. The 7% Solution was adapted by Denny Martin Flynn from the novel by Nicholas Meyer. and directed by Jane Morgan.
Rumpole and the Old Familiar Faces by John Mortimer, with Desmond Barrett as Horace Rumpole.
I, Horace Rumpole, barrister at law, criminal defender. Well, that is to say, I'm not, of course, myself a criminal. Not at all. I defend people about whom it's suggested they might have committed crimes. I, Rumpole of the Bailey, an old Bailey hack, tormentor of judges, thorn in the flesh of prosecutors, Attorney General to the Timson family, who live, on the whole, respectably, on the windy side of the law. I am here to announce quite honestly that I have no rooted objection to Christmas. It is, however, a period when time hangs heavy on the hands. The Old Bailey's closed for the holidays. The better class of villain is taking a winter break on the Costa del Crime. I think my real objection to Christmas is that no one is being tried for anything. There was one Christmas, however, when the unexpected appearance over the festive season of some old familiar faces led to unexpected results, and to my triumph in two widely different cases. It began when I happened to mention the one Christmas institution that lit up my childhood and early... No question, the Great British Pantomime. There's nothing to beat it. We were being entertained by the Erskine Browns in the open-plan kitchen with dining area of their up-to-the-minute Islington home.
You go to the pantomime much, Rumpole?
Ah, Claude, not since childhood. Claude Erskine Brown, QC. I always think those letters stand for queer customer. Claude is a fearless opera-goer and nervous advocate. When I was a boy, it was my annual treat. It made a profound impression on me.
When you were a boy, the truth of the matter is that Rumpole's never quite grown up, and it's not only the pantomime.
Pantomime? Is that a kind of mime show? Guys dressed as clowns, feeling imaginary walls, no one saying anything?
No. Funnier than that. Robin Hood's mother was played by a red-nosed clown.
A female comic?
No, a male one.
I don't know what sort of an idea of England you're giving the judge, Rumpole.
We have clubs for that sort of thing in Pittsburgh, and a website. Transvestites.com.
There's nothing sexual about it. The dame's a character who gets the audience singing.
Singing?
Yes, the words of the song come down on a sort of giant sheet, and she, who was really a he, gets the audience to sing along.
And it's intensely embarrassing.
You can keep your salmon and lobster too. Feed your mackerel to seals at the zoo. For breakfast and dinner, I've only one wish. The glorious sight of my favourite dish. All together, come on!
No.
Oh! Emboldened by the Erskine Brown's claret, smoother on the tongue, and with more of a kick than my usual Chateau Thames embankment, I broke into a stanza of the song I was introduced to in my youth by Robin Hood's masculine mother. Yours for life.
That'll be quite enough, Rumpole. Every time we're asked out to dinner, I beg him not to sing.
Ah, golden memories. I'm afraid I got carried away.
You know, Mr. Rumpole, I think you were wrong. I do detect in that song you just sang some undercurrent of sexual innuendo.
I have to admit, it passed me by.
I see they're doing Aladdin at the Tufnell Park Empire. Do you think the twins might enjoy it, Rumpole? We took them to Bayreuth last year.
The speaker was Mrs. Justice Erskine Brown. Philida Trant as she was in happier days, when I first called her
I'm
the
not quite
Portia
sure
of our
panto
chambers.
is my cup of tea.
She was still possessed of a beauty that would break the hearts of the toughest prosecutors and made old lags tremble with lust, even as she passed a stiff custodial sentence. I think the twins would adore the pantomime. The twins were Tristan and Isolde, so named by her opera-loving husband, Claude. Just the thing to cure the Wagnerian death wish and bring them into a world of sanity.
Sanity? With old guys dressed up as mothers?
I promise you they'll love every minute of it. I know I would. And I'll tell you what, Philida, and then I made another promise that sounded rash, even as I spoke the words. I'll take them myself.
Oh, thank you, Rumpole.
No, it'll have to be after Christmas.
My wife Hilda, known to me only as she who must be obeyed, briskly postponed the promise of Aladdin and his wonderful lamp.
We're invited up to Norfolk for the holiday.
Norfolk? Oh, God. As she said the word Norfolk, a cold, sneaping wind seemed to cut through the central heating of the Erskine Brown's Islington dining room, and I felt a warning shiver. Oh, good God. The ritual of Christmas at home in Froxbury Mansions was to be rudely interrupted. The exchange of presents, the tie which I would seldom wear, the annual bottle of lavender water which Hilda lays down rather than puts to immediate use, would have to take place in a stranger's house. I had grown used to the Queen's speech at home, when I lay bets with myself as to whether Hilda will stand yet again to attention when the telly plays the national anthem, the thawed-out bird from Safeways, followed by port, an annual gift from my faithful solicitor, Bonnie Bernard, and then pudding was to be abandoned for an unpredictable meal with people I'd never met. We sat in a sullen train which dawdled northwards. Why are we going to Norfolk exactly?
I was at school with Poppy Longstaff.
What's that got to do with it?
How many times have I got to tell you, Rumpole? How many times?
I knew the answer to this question, of course. Hilda's old school has this in common with polar expeditions, natural disasters, and World War II. Those who have lived through it are bound together for life and can always call on each other for mutual assistance.
Poppy's Eric is rector of Cold Sounds. And for some reason or other, he seems to want to meet you, Rumpole.
Meet me?
That's what she said.
So does this mean I have to spend Christmas in the Arctic Circle and miss our festivities?
It's not the Arctic Circle. It's Norfolk, Rumpole.
Yes.
And our festivities aren't all that festive. So try and be grateful to Poppy and her husband. And don't spend the whole of Christmas talking about old murders. Some people don't like that.
Oh, God. My first impression of Coal Sands was of a gaunt church with a spire, presumably of great age, pointing an accusing finger to heaven from a cluster of houses on the edge of a sullen gunmetal sea. My second was one of intense cold. As soon as we got out of the taxi, we were slapped around the face by a wind which must have started in freezing Siberia and gained nothing in the way of warmth on its journey across the plains of Europe. At the rectory, we were greeted cheerfully by Poppy Longstaff.
We meet at last, Horace. Hilda's told me so much about you. And Eric's so looking forward to meeting you. Can I take your overcoat?
I thought I might keep it on, just for the moment.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Rumpole. Let Poppy hang it up for you.
Yes.
And the muffler?
Hilda's friend had one of those round, childishly pretty faces often seen on seriously large women. And she seemed to keep going on incessant cups of hot, sweet tea.
Eric?
And the number
He's
of cardigans.
in his study, just putting the last-minute touches to his sermon. Can I offer you a cup of tea?
She moved like an enormous tent into the house, and we followed her.
Eric is having terrible trouble with the church spire.
I was thinking longingly of my overcoat. Frosty winds made considerable moan round the rectory, owing to the doors that stopped about an inch short of the stone floors, and the windows which never shut properly, causing the curtains to billow like the sails of a ship at sea.
We are an ancient foundation granted by William Rufus to the monks
The
of
rector
Holsands.
was a slender wraith of a man, with a high aquiline nose, 2 flapping wings of grey hair on each side of his face, and a vague air of perpetual anxiety, broken now and then by high and unexpected laughter. He made cruciform gestures, as though remembering the rubric: spectacles, testicles, wallet and watch, and forgetting where these important articles were kept.
The church of St. Barnabas was originally Norman, of course, and the Gothic spire didn't come till later.
Oh, such an historic little building. I'm afraid Rumpole isn't a great frequenter of churches.
It was from the top of our spire that watch was kept for the Armada, and sailors used it to steer by. In dense fog, they pointed their ships towards the sound of Cold Sands bells.
Oh.
And now our dear old spire is in urgent need of repair.
It happens to all of us, doesn't it, Rumpole?
Speak for yourself, was what I didn't say.
£100,000. 100,000. That's what we need.
And what have you got?
After the emergency jumble sale, £45. You can see we've got some way to go.
Yes, you have indeed. Yes.
A small sherry.
Ah,
One
yeah,
lovely.
rather lovely, yes.
Thank you.
You particularly wanted to see Rumpole this Christmas, Eric. Did you want his advice? On a legal matter?
Not really.
Just as well.
Yes, I can't remember why I wanted to see you this Christmas. I can't, for the life of me, remember. I mean, I don't believe you've got 100,000 smackers in your back pocket, have you, Rumpole?
Your lack of faith is entirely justified. I wasn't exactly enjoying Cold Sands Rectory, and I was a little miffed that the Reverend couldn't remember why he'd asked me there in the first place.
We had hoped that Donald Compton would help us out. I mean, he wouldn't notice 100,000.
Oh, yes, we had high hopes of Mr. Compton.
Really?
Is this Compton some sort of spy lover, then?
He's got wonderful taste. He bought the old manor house and he's done it up beautifully. And I have to tell you, Hilda, of course, he's not a young man anymore, but he is what we used to call at school a dish to dream of.
As dishy as Mr. Flanner, who took us for extra art.
Far dishier than Mr. Flanner.
I looked at she who must be obeyed, and wondered if she'd ever call me a dish to dream of. I thought on the whole, probably not.
Donald Compton is, you might say, the perfect English gentleman.
And they don't come more perfect than that.
English with some slight but extremely attractive accent.
He spent some years in Canada, making his millions.
And, of course, he's been very generous.
He gave us the cricket pavilion and a tennis court for the school.
Mad about sport, you see, Hilda. And he looks enormously fit.
Really? Rumpole takes absolutely no exercise. I've offered to buy him weights.
I take exercise. Drawing stiff corks out of bottles of Pomeroy's Plonk. Oh, by the way, Eric, the tide seems to have gone down in this glass of sherry.
Donald Compton's got a charming young wife who is not in the least standoffish.
Oh, neither is he. All that money and not a bit of side to him.
But he wouldn't chip in to save the spire.
He might have done. But you know, Eric...
Not very well.
Yes.
He does rather tend to put his foot in it. The Remembrance Day service. We held it outside by the War Memorial. Donald Compton was there, of course, looking very distinguished. Unfortunately, Eric asked us to pray for the enemy that fell in battle.
And their families.
And their families.
Well, it seemed to me only fair.
Oh, perhaps fair, darling, but hardly tactful.
Mr. Compton walked away from the service.
Still looking terrifically distinguished.
I've done hours of hard knee work, begging the Lord to soften Donald Compton's heart towards our spire. No results so far, I fear.
Sorry to hear that.
He'll be in church on Christmas Day, Hilda, and you'll see what I mean by dishing. I can't wait.
And we're all invited for drinks at the manor, so I haven't quite given up hope.
He asks everyone, you know. And, of course, it is an enormous privilege.
Poppy made it sound as though the Pope, the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop of Canterbury would be leading the carols and that we'd been invited to drop in for high tea at Windsor Castle. In church, I prayed for a Yule log blazing at the manor so that I could, in the true spirit of Christmas, thaw out gradually.
Baby in a manger Mary was the mother mild, Jesus Christ the little child.
The church was beautiful, with a high timbered roof and walls of weathered stone, peppered with marble tributes to the dead inhabitants of the manor. It was decorated with holly and mistletoe, a tree glowed, and there were candles over a crib. High heaven rejects the law of nicely calculated less or more. So deemed the man who fashioned for the sense these lofty pillars, spread that branching roof, self-poised and scooped into 10,000 cells, where light and shade repose, where music dwells, lingering, and wandering on as loath to die. Like thoughts whose very sweetness yieldeth proof that they were born for immortality. So wrote Wordsworth, sublime poet and old sheep of the Lake District, who, although born without a single joke in him, oft comforts my solitary hours. He was describing quite another building, but his lines did rather well for Cold Sands Parish Church. I thought how many generations of Cold Sands inhabitants, their eyes bright and faces flushed with the wind, had belted out the hymns. I had found myself a place in church near to a huge, friendly, gently humming, occasionally belching radiator, and I was clinging to it and stroking it as though it were a new-found mistress. And not that I have much experience of new or even old-found mistresses. When the carol was over, a man left the row in front of me and stepped up to the lectern. A man of middle height, with silvery hair, still handsome, and with a carefully preserved tan that must have been difficult to maintain under clouded Norfolk skies. He was dressed in a tweed suit, and as he unfolded a neat little pair of gold half-glasses and settled them on his nose, I was sure that he was Cold Sands' wealthiest citizen. The great Donald Compton would, of course, have been chosen to read the lesson.
The young man saith to him, all these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? And Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell all thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven.
I bet Donald Compton, millionaire lord of the manor, wished Jesus had never said any such thing.
Now, as a sign of Christmas fellowship, will you all stand and shake hands with those in front and behind you?
Eric, in full canonicals, standing on the steps of the altar, made the suggestion as though he'd just thought of the idea.
And wish each other a happy Christmas.
I smelled a discreet masculine aftershave, and the lord of the manor had turned to face me. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. His soft brown eyes looked away from me almost at once. I felt a touch of his dry fingers, and then I was left, staring at his well-tailored back, after the most perfunctory of greetings.
Let us pray. Dearly beloved brethren, the Scripture moveth us in sundry places to acknowledge and confess our manifold sins and wickedness, and that we should not dissemble or cloak them before the face of Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, but confess them with an humble...
I have to confess I wasn't listening to the prayers. I was otherwise engaged, wondering why it was that as the man in front of me touched my fingers and turned away, I felt that I had lived through that moment before, and many years ago.
After the icy church, the manor house glowed with warmth and hospitality. There was, in fact, a huge log fire, crackling and throwing a dancing light on the marble floor of the circular entrance hall, with its great staircase leading up to private shadow.
The cream of coal sands was being entertained to champagne and canapes by the new lord of the manor. The decibels rose as the champagne went down, and the little group began to sound like an army of tourists in the Sistine Chapel, noisy, excited, and wonderstruck.
Oh, they must all be his ancestors.
She, who must be obeyed, was admiring the lines of portraits on the wall. Long-necked women gazing sadly over ruined temples, portly men decked with medals and sashes, with hungry-looking dogs licking their boots, old men in wigs looking cynical, as though they had seen it all and didn't believe a word of it. She had paused, an unaccustomed glass of champagne in her hand, before a scarlet-coated general on a prancing horse. Somewhere in the background, there was the smoke and carnage of a distant battlefield.
Donald Compton comes from a long line of military leaders. You can tell that from the way he stands.
My mouth was full of cream cheese enveloped in smoked salmon. I swallowed it to say, they can't be his family portraits. After all, he only moved in here a couple of years ago.
Oh, but I expect he brought his family portraits here from somewhere else.
Oh, you mean he had them under the bed in the apartment in Calgary?
Oh, do try and be serious, Rumpole. You're not nearly as funny as you think you are. Just look at the family resemblance. I'm absolutely certain that all of these are old Comptons.
Oh. And it was when she said that I remembered everything perfectly clearly. In the varied ups and downs, the thrills and spills in the life of an Old Bailey hack, one thing stands as stone. Your ex-customers will never want to see you again. Even if you've steered them through the rocks of the prosecution case and brought them out of the calm waters of a not guilty verdict, they won't plan further meetings, host reunion dinners, or even send you a card on your birthday. If they catch a glimpse of you on the underground or across a crowded wine bar, they will bury their faces in their newspapers or look studiously in the opposite direction. This is understandable. Days in court represent a period of time they'd rather forget. As a rule, I'm not especially keen to renew an old acquaintance when a face I once saw in the Old Bailey dock reappears at a Scales of Justice dinner. Reminiscences of the past are best avoided, and what is required is a quick look and a quiet turn away. But not, however, on this occasion. He was with his wife. She was wearing a black velvet dress and had long, fair hair that glittered in the firelight. They were talking to a bald, pink-faced man and his short and dumpy wife, and they were all laughing. Compton's laughter stopped as he saw me coming towards him. Hello. Delightful party.
Yeah.
I don't think we've met.
Oh, yes, we have. We shook hands in the church this morning. My name's Rumpole, and I'm staying with the Longstaffs.
This is my wife, Lorelei, and
pleased to meet you.
And Colonel and Maudie Jenkins.
Lovely to meet you. Happy Christmas.
Yeah, what did you say your name was? Rumpole. Horace Rumpole. Staying with the Longstaffs, you know.
Dear old Eric Longstaff. Saintly man, of course. Pity he blotted his copybook on Remembrance Day.
Praying for the enemy. Not the sort of thing you want to hear in church.
I do hope you're enjoying the Christmas holiday, Rumpole.
Well, it's not exactly a holiday. I'm here to do a job.
What sort of job, exactly?
Didn't Poppy tell us you're a lawyer?
Oh, you down here on a case?
What sort of case? And how exciting?
Well, not a case, exactly. I'm here to do a bit of fundraising.
Fundraising? Whatever for?
Well, as a matter of fact, for the spire of the church we were in today. We've met before, haven't we, Mr. Compton? Long ago.
Well, Donald meets so many people.
You're a lawyer, Rumpole. I've got some books in the library, first-hand accounts of famous cases. Do you think that might interest you?
I think it might interest me very much.
Excuse us, darling, won't you?
Yes, of course. More champagne?
Yes.
Or maybe a little mulled wine?
2 words from Hilda had done it. Old and Compton. I knew then what I should have remembered when we touched hands in the pews. That Old Compton is a street in Soho. And that was perhaps why Ricardo, known as Dicko Peducci, had adopted the name. The Peducci territory had been in those days not rolling Norfolk acres, but a number of Soho strip clubs and clip joints.
Oi, care for a drink,
Coming
darling?
for a drink and a chat, love.
Company, are you, my dear?
Girls would stand in front of these clubs and beckon to the lonely, the desperate and the unwary. Often they would escape with no more damage than £20 for a watery cocktail. Unlucky, affluent and important customers might even get invited to a cheaply scented love nest, well supplied with concealed microphones and hidden cameras, to produce material which was used for systematic and highly profitable blackmail. The victim in Dicko's trial was an obscure and not much loved circuit judge. Because of that, the case was regarded as particularly serious by the prosecuting authority.
Members of the jury, have you reached a verdict on which you're all agreed?
We have, my lord.
Do you find Riccardo Peducci guilty or not guilty of blackmail and keeping a bawdy house?
Guilty, my lord.
It was shortly before another long-distant Christmas that I rose to plead for a short sentence before His Honour Judge Bullingham, a task which would make turning base metal into gold look like a complete doddle.
Have you anything to say in mitigation of these horrible offences, Mr. Rumpole?
I certainly have, my lord.
I can't believe that even you
would ask for mercy. I certainly can, my lord. First of all, there's very little evidence of Peducci playing an active part in keeping this club.
This brothel, you mean?
He was hardly ever seen there. In fact, he rarely seems to have visited Soho. There's very little evidence that he knew exactly what was going on in the bar Exotic.
He didn't go there because he was the big wheel, the boss man, the brains of the whole sordid organization. His non-appearance is a sign of guilt.
You mean you could go into a street and pick up a complete stranger and say he must be guilty because he never went there?
I didn't say that.
Then I misunderstood, your lordship.
Is that your best point, Mr. Rumpole?
No, my best point is that we're near Christmas.
What's Christmas got to do with it?
Christmas, my lord, has everything to do with it. It brings us the message that mercy will be shown even to the sinner, that our crimes and follies will be forgiven, that even the most misguided of us can hope for salvation. That, my lord, is the message of the story which began in a stable in Bethlehem.
And that story ends, to the best of my recollection, with a pretty sharp sentence on a couple of thieves. I can't pass a sentence of death in this disgusting case, Mr. Rumpole, which may be a matter of some regret. Is that all you have to say?
All, my lord. And at this time of Christmas, it should be enough.
Very well. Yes?
Will the defendant stand?
Riccardo Paducci, you have besmirched the fair name of Old Compton Street, which used to be, if my memory serves me, a thoroughly respectable thoroughfare. You have also used the weaknesses of respectable citizens to extract money from them. You have even brought the law into disrepute. You and your like are the parasites that suck blood from the body politic. The least sentence I can, in all decency, pass upon you is one of 7 years' imprisonment. Take him down.
Look, I'm sorry. We were unlucky in our judge.
He didn't seem to like you much.
With what you can get off for good behavior, you could be out in no time.
Forget it. Forget me. I know you will. I look after myself now. I might surprise them. I might surprise you.
Yes. Then I got the very same handshake, a slight touch, and a quick turn away that I had experienced in Coal Sands Church. Well, good luck, Dicko. Arrivederci.
I suppose it was going to happen sooner or later.
Not necessarily. We were standing in the library, drinking whiskey, in front of a comforting fire, and among leather-bound books which I strongly suspected had been bought by the yard. The new, like the old Dicker, was soft-eyed, quietly spoken, almost unnaturally calm. The perfect man behind the scenes of a blackmailing operation or a country estate. You seem to have done pretty well for yourself. Solid citizens still misbehaving themselves round Old Compton Street, are they?
I wouldn't know. I gave all that up and went into the property business.
Really? Where did you do that? Canada?
I never saw Canada. Garrick Prison. Up-and-coming area in the home counties. The screws there were ready and willing to do the deals on the outside. I paid them embarrassingly small commissions.
How long were you there?
4 years. By the time I came out, I'd got my first million.
Then I did you a good turn losing your case. A bit of luck His Honour Judge Bullingham didn't believe in the remission of sins.
You think I got what I deserved?
Treat every man according to his deserts, I quoted Hamlet to him, and who shall escape whipping?
Then I can trust you, Rumpole? I've worked hard. I've earned the respect of the community here. The Lord Chancellor's going to put me on the bench.
The Lord Chancellor lives in a world of his own.
You don't think I do well as a magistrate?
Well, I suppose you'd speak from personal experience of law courts and have some respect for the quality of mercy.
I've got no time for that, Rumpole. I believe in cracking down hard on crime.
His voice became quieter but harder. The brown eyes lost their softness. That, I thought, was how he must have looked when one of his clip-joint girls was caught with the punter's cash stuffed in her tights.
Well, now, can I trust you not to go out there and spread the word about the last time we met?
That depends.
On what?
How well you understand the Christmas message.
Which is?
Perhaps, generosity?
Oh, I see. You want your bung.
Not me, Dicko. I've been paid inadequately by legal aid. But there's an impoverished church spire in urgent need of resuscitation.
That Eric Longstaff. He's not a patriot.
And are you?
I do a good deal of work locally for the British Legion.
And I'm sure next Poppy Day they'll appreciate what you've done for the church spire. He looked at me for a long minute in silence. I thought that if this scene had been taking place in a back room in Soho, there might quite soon have been the flash of a knife. Instead, his hand went into an inside pocket and produced nothing more lethal than a checkbook. While you're in a giving mood, the rectory's in desperate need of central heating. Riccardo Paducci, now known as Donald Compton, looked at me, apparently deeply shocked.
This is bloody blackmail.
Very well, Dicko. You should know. Christmas Day was over. The year turned, stirred itself, and opened its eyes onto a bleak January. Crimes were committed, arrests were made, and the courtrooms were filled once again with the sound of argument. I went down to the Old Bailey on a trifling matter of fixing the date of a trial before Mrs. Justice Erskine Brown. As I was leaving, the usher came and told me that the judge wanted to see me in her private room on a matter of urgency. Such summonses always filled me with apprehension and a vague feeling of guilt. What had I done? Got the date of a trial hopelessly muddled? Dressed the court with my trousers carelessly unzipped? I was relieved when the learned Philida greeted me warmly.
My dear Rumpole, how lovely to see you. Sherry?
And even offered me a glass of sherry. Thanks, yeah. Poured from her own personal decanter.
It was so kind of you to offer, Rumpole.
Offer what?
Well, you told us how much you loved the traditional British pantomime.
Yes, so I did. For a happy moment, I imagined her ladyship as principal boy, her shapely legs encased in black tights, her neat little wig slightly askew, slapping her thigh and calling out in bell-like tones, "Cheer up, Rumpole. Portia's not far away."
The twins are looking forward to it enormously.
Looking forward to what?
Aladdin at the Tufnell Park Empire. I've got the tickets for the 19th of Jan. You do remember promising to take them, don't you?
What other promise might I have made after the 5th glass of the Erskine Brown Saint-Emilion? I'd love to be one of the party. And will old Claude be buying us dinner afterwards?
I really don't think you should go round calling people old, Rumpole.
Philida now looked miffed, and I downed the sherry before she took it into her head to deprive me of it.
Claude's got us tickets for Pavarotti. L'Elysée d'Amore. You might buy the children a burger after the show. Oh, and it's not far from us on the tube to bring them home. It really was sweet of you to invite them.
At which she smiled at me and refilled my glass in a way which made it clear she was not prepared to hear further argument. It all turned out better than I could have hoped. Tristan and Isolde, unlike their Wagnerian namesakes, were cheerful, reasonably polite, and only seemed anxious to disassociate themselves as far as possible from the old fart who was escorting them.
Uncle Horace?
At every available opportunity, they would touch me for cash and then scamper off to buy ice cream, chocolates, sandwiches, and Sprite. At last, they were settled in the stalls, snacking contentedly, as the story of Aladdin and his wonderful lamp unfolded before our eyes.
New lamps for old, and new lamps for old.
Hello, children. Isn't it a beautiful day? Oh, by the way, have you seen an old lamp seller around here? Where is he?
New lamps for old.
Oh, there you are, lamp seller. Look, I brought this old lamp we had in our kitchen at home.
Ooh, what a beauty.
Yes, and it's all mine.
Aladdin was a personable young woman named in the programme as Millicent Greenway, who trained at RADA and played the popular barmaid in Liverpool Street, a long-running television series set in the railway station of that name. She had an upturned nose, coppery hair, memorable thighs, and a voice that could have been used to control crowds or low-flying aircraft.
Bye-bye, boys and girls. See you later. Be good.
Uncle Ebenezer was also played by a star of television, famed for his role as caring social worker in the series Counselling. Regrettably, Wishy and Washy sang Delilah to the accompaniment of electric guitars. But Widow Twankey, acted by a certain Jim Diamond, was all a dame should be. A nimble little cockney fitted up with a sizable false bosom, thick makeup, a flaming red wig, sweeping eyelashes and scarlet lips. Never have I heard the immortal line, "Where's that naughty boy Aladdin got to?" better delivered.
Oh, where's that naughty boy Aladdin got to?
Out in the street!
Huh? Oh, out in the street, is he? He ought to be helping me with the laundry. Only help that boy ever gives me is to open the washing machine door. Oh, what on earth's this? Is this next door's bra or a couple of pudding basins? And this? A mountain climber's rope or Anne Widdecombe's G-string? Oh, dear. Mrs. Gormley's white knickers. Make a nice tent, they would. Or she could run them up a flagpole as a sign of surrender.
She was stuffing absurd laundry into a vast washing-up machine, firing off the old jokes as though no one had ever heard them before.
My husband, Mr. Twanky, wasn't much help either. He's long gone, of course. Oh, my husband. He could bring happiness and laughter into our house simply by not coming home. The next door, Mrs. Gormley. Bit of a nosy Parker, Mrs. Gormley. She said to me, "Quite honestly, isn't your husband a bit of a pain in the neck?" Quite honestly, Mrs. Gormley, I told her, I've got a lower opinion of him than that. Aladdin! Aladdin! Oh, where's that naughty boy got to? Men. You know, they can get a man on the moon, can't they? Well, I don't know why they can't put them all up there. I'll tell you something. I will tell you something. I hate housework. I hate it. You make the beds, do the dishes, and 6 months later, you've got to do them all over again. Oh, it's getting dark. Where's my old lamp?
Aladdin's got it!
Oh, where is that naughty boy, then?
Hello, boys and girls. Oh, what ugly audience. Get out of it.
Uncle Ebenezer, you found my naughty boy.
He was doing some sort of trade with a lamp seller.
Trade? What sort of trade?
I know you'll be pleased, Mother. I swapped our nasty old lamp for a beautiful new one.
That thing? You traded in our lovely old lamp for that thing? Anyway, it's all dusty.
I thought you'd be so pleased. Aren't you going to let me kiss you, Mother?
Certainly not. Get away from me. Keep your kisses to yourself. I never know where they've been.
Not a very affectionate mother, this widow, thank you.
She's not, is she, Uncle Horace?
You do love me, don't you, Mother?
Oh, dear.
Oh, yes. You make me want to jump for joy. Off a cliff.
Now, this lamp, my dear Twanky, might I suggest a quick rub with a duster?
No! Get away with you. I don't do that sort of thing.
Oh, the lamp. I meant if you give the lamp a quick polish.
Oh, all right. There should be a duster down there. Oh, yes, there it is, in the bread bin.
That's it. See what it looks like with a bit of polishing.
So she polished the lamp and gave the twins the surprise of their young lives.
Who's he, Uncle Horace?
The slave of the lamp.
I am the slave of the lamp.
Oh, really? We weren't expecting you. I've been staying in for the plumber to come about the ball cock.
It is my pleasure and privilege, oh, beauteous mistress of the blue horizon.
Ever so nicely spoken, isn't he?
To grant you 3 wishes.
What's he talking about?
Go on, tell him what your heart desires.
He's a genie, Mother.
Is that what he is?
Go on, have a wish.
Oh, all right, then.
No, not you, her.
I wish.
Yes?
You wish what? Oh, queen of the hidden lakes.
Oh, wish all this washing was done.
Between washing, huge knickers, mammoth bras, red and white striped vests fell from above onto the stage.
Oh, marvellous.
And then...
And your next wish, oh, most beauteous one.
Shall I?
Why not? You still have one left.
I think I'd like a nice kipper for my breakfast.
Oh! I could hardly believe it. It was a traditional pantomime in the best possible tradition. Then down came the song sheet, and now the words were just the same. Well, perhaps the song had been dug out by some enthusiast from a pile of old pantomime numbers, gathering dust in a theatrical attic. Perhaps it had never died, but merely gone underground, like a revolutionary ditty to be sung in private by superannuated dames or elderly principal boys. And now
Here we go.
it emerged in its full glory.
You keep your salmon and lobster too. Feed your mackerel to seals at the zoo. For breakfast and dinner I've only one wish. The glorious sight of my favourite fish. Whoa! Since I was a nipper, I've always loved a kipper.
What's a kipper, Uncle Horace?
Gorgeous thing, smoked herring, full of bone. Butter it well and have it for breakfast.
Dad has muesli for breakfast. Mum has hot water and lemon.
Now they're going to ask us to sing.
Let's hear it for all those up on the shelves.
It's not us.
You wait, our turn will come.
And so has my loving one. Gone very quiet up there, hasn't it?
Yeah, oh dear. Let's try the lot in the bargain basement.
Let's hope they've got a bit more snap in their celery. Come on then, all of you down below.
Since I was a nipper, I've always loved a kipper, and so has my loving
Well, come on, kids, sing up.
If you know a girl just slip her, a nice and fresh and kipper, and she'll be yours for life.
It was, in fact, and in fairness, all a traditional pantomime should be. And yet I had a vague feeling that something was wrong. An element was missing. But as the cast came down a white staircase in glittering costumes to enthusiastic applause, it seemed the sort of pantomime I'd grown up with, and which Tristan and Isolde should be content to inherit. After so much excitement, I felt in need of a stiff brandy and soda. But the eatery the children had selected for their evening entertainment had apparently gone teetotal, and alcohol was not on the menu.
Oh, thank you ever so much, Uncle Horace.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Look, I'm just popping out back in a tick. Once they were confronted by their mammoth burgers and fries, I made my excuses, said I'd be back in a moment, and slipped into the nearby pub, which was, I noticed, opposite the stage door of the Empire. As the life-giving draught was being poured, I found myself standing next to Washi and Uncle Abanazar, now out of costume, who were discussing Jim the Dane.
Jim's a bit unfriendly tonight. Locks himself in his dressing room before the show and won't come in here for a drink afterwards. I reckon he's upset about something.
Can't be a star billing. He's way up there with Millicent from Liverpool Street. Maybe he's had a bust-up with Molly.
Unlikely. Jim and Molly never had a cross word. Of course, there are things she doesn't know.
Could I have a reefer, please? Alcohol levels sunk to a dangerous level.
You mean she may have found out that Jim's been polishing Aladdin's wonderful lamp?
No, I don't reckon she knows that. If she did, we'd have heard about it.
Yeah, I suppose so. Oh, Jim was in great form tonight, though, wasn't he?
He was never better. There was one funny thing, though.
Oh, yeah?
You know those artificial knockers Jim wears? Strapped on polystyrene, hard as bloody iron. Bruises me when I dance with him.
Not much fun, then, dancing with Jim.
Well, not usually. But tonight, it was all quite soft.
Got a new costume, had he?
Well.
Yeah, perhaps he borrowed them from a blow-up doll.
They were both laughing as I gulped my brandy and legged it back to the hamburgers. In the dark passage outside the stage door, I saw a small, nimble figure in hurried retreat. Jim Diamond, I thought, who for some reason hadn't wanted to join the boys at the bar. After I had restored the children to the Erskine Browns' au pair, I sat in the tube on my way back to Gloucester Road and read the programme. Jim Diamond, it seemed, had started his life in industry before taking up show business. He had a busy career in clubs and turned down appearances on television. I only enjoy live shows, Jim says. I want to have the audience where I can see him. His photograph, without the exaggerated female makeup, showed a pale, thin-nosed, disagreeable little man, with a lip curled either in scorn or triumph. Stripped of his makeup, there was something about this comic's unsmiling face which brought back memories of another meeting in totally different circumstances. It was the second time within a few weeks that I had found an old familiar face, cast in a new and unexpected part. The idea, the memory I couldn't quite grasp, preyed on my mind until I was tucked up in bed. Hilda was already asleep. Her latest historical romance had dropped from her weary fingers. She had turned her back on me, and I saw the face in the programme again quite clearly, but in a different setting. Not Diamond, not Sparker, but Spark's man. A logical progression. Got it.
Is that you, Rumpole?
I don't know who else it could possibly be. You know, the extraordinary thing about that pantomime...
Oh, tell me tomorrow.
The Widow Twankey was played by Jim Sparksman, a one-time safe-breaker who took to acting in one of Her Majesty's prisons.
Typical of you, Rumpole. You can't even go to the pantomime without meeting some criminal or other. Good night.
Good night. What a thing. Oh, since I was a nipper, I've always loved a kipper, and so has my love.
No singing, Rumpole.
Yes, dear.
Dennis, are you talking about Dennis, Mr. Rumpole? God, the boy couldn't have done it, Mr. Rumpole.
Well, do you really think so, Fred?
Nah, not a complicated bloody great job to that extent. His only way of getting at a safe was to dig it out of the wall and remove it bodily. He done that in a bark-inside boutique job. And what was inside it hardly covered the cost of the petrol.
I was back at work. The days of kipper songs and magic lamps, of genies and church spires had passed. I was in my room in Chambers, in discussion with one of my most regular customers, a member of the family of South London villains known as the Timsons, who confined themselves to ordinary, decent crime, such as middle-of-the-road shoplifting, and disapproved as strongly as anyone of drug dealing, incest, and the carrying of shooters.
My young nephew, Dennis, quite honestly, Mr. Rumpole, he's never going to be Brain of Britain. He could never have done that Croydon Savings Bank job. That called for special skills, Mr. Rumpole. And quite honestly, again, there's no one in our family today that could reach them dizzy heights.
Really? The speaker was Fred Timson, clear-headed and sensible. And now, after the retirement of his elder brother to a small but comfortable villa on the sunnier side of Marbella, head of the family. So far as your nephew's concerned, Fred, there is the evidence of young Charlie Malloy.
Oh, Peanuts Malloy? Well, we've heard from him before, haven't we, Mr. Rumpole?
Indeed we had. He had figured in a number of Timson cases, and we knew absolutely nothing to his credit. Peanuts indeed. He says he was one of the lookout men. He also says that your Dennis was in charge.
Oh, yeah, in charge? Our Dennis couldn't be in charge of a group of girl guides playing hopscotch. He's barely in charge of himself, Mr. Rumpole.
I think you're right there, yeah. Well, he goes on to say that Dennis disconnected the burglar alarm, burnt his way into the safe, and got his hands on 50,000 in cash.
Oh, dirty little grass, that Peanuts.
Undoubtedly, but that's what he says.
And does he go on to say that our Dennis jumped over a 20-foot wall, walked on his hands down Croydon High Street, and took off in our air balloon?
No, Fred, he doesn't say that.
Oh, Peanuts, he's a Malloy, Mr. Rumpole. And do you know what? The Timsons and the Malloys is chalk and cheese.
That's very, very true. It was worse than that. The clan Malloy, who had no inhibitions about dealing in hallucinatory substances or going to work tooled up with flick knives and shooters, waged a perpetual turf war against Fred's family. If Peanuts felt like grassing, his victim would surely be a Timson. I'm going to see your young Dennis in Brixton. We'll find out what he says.
Oh, good luck, sir. I'm afraid you won't find that he's got a lot to offer, not by way of conversation.
We'll do our best.
And you can't believe what he says, not even if he tells you he'd done it.
To give myself a breather from the Timson case, I went and stood outside my chambers in Equity Court, wearing my hat to protect the thinning top of my head from the drizzle, and thinking, as my old darling Wordsworth would say, of old, unhappy, far-off things and crimes so long ago. Around me in the doorways, under the arches or leaning against a sheltered wall, were many poor souls like me, driven out of doors. Most of them were girls. Short-skirted, high-heeled, with cigarettes dangling from their lips, they would seem to any passer-by to be ladies of the night. And the same casual observer might have been forgiven for supposing that the Outer Temple, home of the legal profession, had become a red-light district in the manor of downtown Amsterdam. The casual observer would have been wrong. Neither they nor I were out of doors to offer sexual services. We were temporary exiles from chambers which had become smoke-free zones. Claude Erskine Brown blamed my cheroots for the fact that his aunt had been flooded out by a climate change in Surrey. In vain I argued for the democratic right of minorities. The smoking ban was introduced by a tyrannical majority, so I had to bask in the warmth of a small cigar as the rain settled in the brim of my hat. Just try and remember, Claude had exhorted me. Smoke causes global warming even out of doors. Didn't you see the pictures of Godalming in full flood? I replied that I didn't go about searching for pictures of Godalming. My aunt, and here Claude's voice rose to the doom-laden level of a newsreader, announcing the end of the world, had to be taken shopping in a collapsible canoe. O tempora, o mores. My faithful solicitor, Mr. Bonnie Bernard, and I made a courtesy call on young Dennis Timson in the Brixton prison interview room. We did our best to make him feel at home. So, how are you feeling, Dennis?
I'm all right.
Care for a cigarette, Dennis?
I'm all right.
You must be worried about these serious charges.
I'm all right.
Fred's nephew was a puzzled 23-year-old with a shaven head, a right earring, and a poor attempt at a moustache. He sat staring out of the window at the yard with its sunken flower beds and screws parading with their dogs. Only one thing stirred him into some sort of eloquence. Your Uncle Fred says you couldn't have done anything nearly as big and complicated as the Croydon job.
Who does he think he is? Uncle Fred bloody Timson. Hardly a cray, is he? Hardly a great train robber. What's he got on his bloody record, eh? Nicking a van load of frozen pizzas. That's about the most Uncle Fred Timson's got to boast about. Calls himself head of the family. Everybody's wrinkly old grandpa. How does that old fart know what I'm capable of? I'll tell you to your face, Mr. Rumpole. I'm capable of a lot.
What are you trying to tell us, Dennis? My instructing solicitor, Mr. Bernard, asked the relevant question.
Are you trying to tell us you blew the safe in the Croydon savings bank?
No, I'm not telling you that. One way or the other.
What are you telling us, then?
I'm telling you that I've got the capacity. That's what I'm telling you. Just how many safes has Uncle Fred blown in his entire existence?
Dennis was apparently incapable of answering a simple question. He'd have made a perfect politician. Oh, we're going now, Dennis. You'd better make up your mind whether you did it or not. Out of the shades of the prison house, Bonnie Bernard took a gloomy view of the situation.
Hopeless. We've got ourselves a client who wants to boast about a crime he didn't do. Or did he?
My mind was on another aspect of the case.
The 19th of January. Yeah, that was the date of the Croydon Savings Bank job.
Yes. It also happens to be the night I saw Aladdin at the Tufnell Park Empire.
What on earth's that got to do with it?
I don't know. It might just be worth our while to find out. Dennis Timson's case was to come up for committal at the magistrate's court before Skimpy Simpson, whose lack of success at the bar had driven him to a job as a stipendiary beak. His nickname had been earned by the fact that he had never, within living memory, been known to lash out on a round of drinks in Pomeroy's wine bar. In the usual course of events, there's no future in fighting proceedings, which are only there to commit the customer to trial. I had resolved to attend, however, to pour a little well-deserved contempt on the evidence of Peanuts Malloy. There was also the possibility that Bernard might provide me with a valuable witness. But the situation was by no means clear when I rose to cross-examine the officer in charge of the case. Detective Inspector Grimble. Would you agree that whoever blew the safe in the Croydon Savings Bank did an extraordinarily skillful job?
Mr. Rumpole, are we meant to congratulate your client on his professional skills?
Exactly the opposite, sir. I decided to ignore Skimpy and concentrate on a friendly chat with Detective Inspector Grimble, a large, comfortable gingerhead officer. We had lived together over many years with the clan Timson and their misdoings. You'd agree, then, these thieves were well informed. They knew there would be a week's money in the safe.
They knew that, yes.
And was there a complex burglar alarm system that couldn't be put out of action simply by cutting the wires?
Cutting the wires would have set it off.
So putting the burglar alarm out of action would have required special skill.
It would have done.
Putting it out of action also stopped a clock in the office, so we know that occurred at 8:45.
We know that, yes.
And at 9:20, young Malloy was caught as he fell running to a getaway car.
That is so.
So this heavy safe was burnt open in little over half an hour.
I fail to see the relevance of that, Mr. Rumpole.
Skimpy was getting restless. Don't worry, sir. I'm sure the officer does. Now, that shows a very high degree of technical skill, doesn't it, Detective Inspector?
Oh, well, yes, of course, I'd agree with that.
Exercised by a highly experienced Peterman.
Who is this Mr. Peterman? We haven't heard of him before.
I marvelled at the ignorance of the basic facts of life displayed by the magistrate. A man expert at blowing safe, sir. Known to the trade as a Peterman.
Yes, of course.
So we're agreed, Inspector, that this was a highly expert piece of work.
It must have been done by someone who knew his job pretty well, yes.
Dennis Timson's records show convictions for shoplifting, bag snatching, and stealing a radio from an unlocked car. In all of these simple enterprises, he managed to get caught.
Your client's criminal record. You're allowing that to go into evidence, are you, Mr. Rumpole?
Certainly, sir, because there's absolutely no indication that he was capable of blowing a safe in record time or silencing a complicated burglar alarm. Am I right, Detective Inspector?
You are, Mr. Rumpole. There's nothing to show anything like that in his record.
Would you agree, then, that in the profession of thieving, young Dennis Timson is an incompetent amateur?
Hang on a minute. What's he calling me? Incompetent amateur? What's that mean? Dickhead? I got to sit here listening to me being called a dickhead. Mr. Rumpole, cannot you control your client?
It's very difficult, sir. Might I step into the dock and give him legal advice?
It might be as well.
The legal advice I gave Dennis Timson came in a whisper, which apparently echoed round the court.
Shut up, you little twerp, or I'll go home and leave you to it. Understand?
Oh, don't do that.
The consultation over, I continued my agreeable dialogue with Detective Inspector Grimble. Is it a fact that the number of expert Petermen is strictly limited?
I believe that is so.
And they are, by and large, known to the police?
We have our sources of information, yes.
Mr. Rumpole, where is all this leading?
Back a good many years, sir, to the Home Sweet Home Building Society job at Carshalton, when Jim Sparksman blew a safe so quietly that even the dogs slept through it.
You were on that case, weren't you, Mr. Rumpole? Sparksman got 5 years.
Not one of your great successes. Perhaps you wasted the court's time with unnecessary questions. Have you anything else to ask this officer?
Just one thing, Inspector. Doesn't this crime bear all the hallmarks of an expert safe blower? Like, for instance, Jim Sparksman, now known as Jim Diamond, who now has a new career on the stage.
I must admit, Mr. Rumpole, my thoughts did turn in that direction.
That's very helpful. So, have you checked Jim Diamond's movements on the evening of the 19th of January? Where was he at 8 o'clock?
If you really want to know, Mr. Rumpole.
I certainly do.
He was performing in the Christmas pantomime Aladdin at the Tufnell Park Empire. I'm afraid he has a cast-iron alibi.
So, that's that, Mr. Rumpole. Now, could we get on with dealing with the facts of this case?
No, we couldn't. And that was because, as I looked desperately round the court, I saw no sign of my faithful solicitor, Bonnie Bernard, nor of the witness he had promised to deliver to me.
Mr. Rumpole, no doubt you will reserve your evidence until the trial at the Old Bailey.
No, sir, I have a witness to call before you.
Oh, very well. Call your witness.
If only I could. It was 3:30, and the clerk of the court had told me Skimpy had to leave at 4 to catch his usual train home to Haywards Heath. So I claimed the right to make an opening speech for the defence, something unknown in a magistrate's court. Sitting as a magistrate, you, sir, are not a rubber stamp. You are not a mere pillar box, put here to send cases on to the Central Criminal Court. You can... It's your duty to consider the prosecution on its merits. And should you decide it has no merits whatever, throw it out. I whittled on about safe-breaking in general and the use of blowtorches. I touched on the great institution of savings banks. I discussed the geography of Croydon. I praised the honesty and acumen of Detective Inspector Grimble and touched on the history of committal proceedings. I was about to be driven back on the weather when Skimpy looked wearily at the clock and stopped me with a high-pitched bark.
Have your witness here first thing tomorrow, Rumpole, or I come to an immediate decision.
So Skimpy head off to Victoria Station. And in the morning...
Silence in court.
I called Mrs. Diamond.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Are you Molly Diamond?
I am.
And are you married to Jim Diamond, as he is now known?
I am. You can call it a marriage.
When you married him, wasn't he Jim Sparksman?
That was his proper name.
And under that name, did he serve a long term of imprisonment?
Yeah. I stood by him during all that time.
And what was he imprisoned for?
Blowing the safe on the Home Sweet Home Building Society in Carshalton.
Was blowing safes his trade or profession when you first met him?
That was what he did most of, yes.
Mrs. Diamond smiled, I thought, with a certain modest pride. But Skimpy didn't seem entirely happy with the evidence I was calling.
Mr. Rumpole, we're investigating your client's involvement in a raid on a savings bank in Croydon. What on earth has this man Diamond, or Sparksman, or what it is called, got to do with this case, I wonder?
I looked round the court and saw Detective Inspector Grimble murmuring to the solicitor from the Crown Prosecution Service. I had warned Grimble that my witness might solve the savings bank mystery, and I expected him to help me to drag the truth out, like a bad tooth, from the jaws of the impatient Skimpy. You say you wonder, sir. Then wonder on till truth makes all things plain. All will be revealed.
Mr. Kemp, don't you object to this evidence?
Skimpy sought help from the prosecutor, a young man who'd listened to Grimble's advice.
No, sir. The prosecution has no objection.
Oh, very well, Mr. Rumpole, but keep it short.
Coming to the evening of the 19th of January, was your husband playing Widow Twankey in the pantomime?
Not that night, no.
At the Tufnell Park Empire. I was in the audience.
Mr. Rumpole, stop giving evidence.
Then let me suggest that someone was playing Widow Twankey on the night of the Croydon Savings Bank raid.
That was me.
But perhaps you could tell us how that came about.
I'd done bits and pieces, variety shows, summer season, stuff like that, before I met Jim. While he was away, of course, I did a bit more of it, just to keep things going. Well, I took an interest in his work, too. I watched rehearsals. I knew Twankey backwards.
Mr. Kemp, are you still not objecting?
No, sir.
You were saying, Mrs. Diamond, before we were interrupted.
So when Jim asked me to stand in for him...
What did you do?
Well, I did what he wanted.
I was looking at the woman in the witness box, quiet, nervous, overawed by the proceedings. And suddenly I saw her again. Her lips scarlet, her face caked with makeup, crowned with a tousled red wig, as she dashed on with her arms full of washing and yelled at the children.
Where's that naughty boy got to?
And then the glorious vision faded, and we were back in the South London Magistrates' Court. Did he tell you why he wanted you to play Twankey?
He said, like, it was a deadly secret. He had to do a job he didn't want anyone to know about. It was something he had to do round Croydon way.
You were to give him an alibi?
Well, that's what I thought it was. I thought I loved him then. Not now. Not now, I don't. That little tart, that Millicent. She can no more play Aladdin than I could play football for England. He only moved in with her. That's all he did. Moved into a stinking little tart's flat in Wimbledon Common, if you can believe it. Well, that did it. That put the old tin lid on it. I'm not helping him after that. He's yours now. You can do what you like with him.
It was the voice, strident, outrageous, ultimately alarming, of the widow Twankey. And as it died away, the young man from the Crown Prosecution Service got rather shakily, I thought, to his feet.
Might this case be adjourned, sir, so that we can make further inquiries?
Detective Inspector Grimble arrested Jim Sparksman, also known as Diamond, for the Croydon job, and the case against Dennis Timson was dropped. Deeply preoccupied by the fresh challenge of a new case, my breakfast next morning was rudely interrupted by she who must be obeyed. I heard a heavy sigh on the other side of the toast and marmalade. Hilda's face was a study of sadness and regret as she looked down at the letter in her hand.
I can't possibly go. It would be too embarrassing.
You can't go where, Hilda?
The old St. Elfrida's dinner.
But you always go.
Not now.
It was a reunion Hilda never missed. A party at which her innumerable old school friends relived their gym-slip years, and which I welcomed as an opportunity for a quietly convivial evening in Pomeroy's wine bar with Bonnie Bernard.
Look at this.
She handed me the embossed invitation, as though it were the announcement of a death.
The president of the OEs this year is Lady Shiplake. Chrissy Snelling, as was. It's so not fair. She never came to OE reunions. But now she's married this Labour lord, they've made her president. Neither Dodo McIntosh nor I will be able to go now.
Why ever not? There was a long and solemn pause, and then Hilda uttered a word which I didn't know existed in her vocabulary.
Guilt.
You mean this Chrissy has a criminal record?
No, we do. Dodo and I.
Hilda! The breath had been knocked out of me. You're confessing to something.
Dodo and I did it together.
You were fellow conspirators? In what crime?
We called her Smelling, of course. Here comes Chrissy Smelling. And we held our noses. Oh, we told her there was a rule that everyone had to run round the hockey field 3 times before breakfast. And Chrissy did it. Oh, we sent her fake Valentine cards, making dates with non-existent chaps from the boys' school. Oh, we pinched her knicker linings and punctured her hot water bottle.
Disgusting.
Then halfway through one term, a car with a chauffeur came and took Chrissy away. It was all our fault, Rumpole.
Any other offences to be taken into consideration? I hope I looked suitably shocked.
I can't think of any more at the moment.
It's a formidable charge sheet.
I know. And now Dodo and I simply couldn't face her again. Neither of us could.
That's exactly why you've got to go. For once in my married life, I was occupying the moral high ground, where the air was fresh and exciting.
Oh, Rumpole!
Could it be that she who must be obeyed was capable of a cry for help?
Don't make me.
Could I make her? Could I turn Judge Bullingham into a soft-hearted, do-gooding member of the Howard League for Penal Reform? Of course I couldn't. All the same, I meant to put up a fight for my evening with Bonnie Bernard in Pomeroy's. I just think... And here I gave Hilda the Rumpole look of gentle but serious concern. That you have the honour of St. Elfrida's to consider.
Dodo and I have always been intensely loyal to the old school.
Always in the past, perhaps, but not now. Or is it part of the St. Elfrida's tradition to run away from your responsibilities?
What do you want me to do, Rumpole?
Ah, another record broken. Such a question had never been asked before in the long, windy history of our married life. Face up to it, Hilda. Confess everything and throw yourself at the mercy of the court. I am convinced, and now Rumpole was at his most judicial, that you and Dodo McIntosh will feel the better, the purer for it. For a long moment, the fate of my evening at Pomeroy's hung in the balance. Then she said,
I'll ring Dodo and ask her what she thinks.
You won't. You'll tell her what you think. I said, but not out loud. By now, I was satisfied that ringing Dodo would end in agreement that they should face the music. And so, a week or two later, Bonnie Bernard and I were able to enjoy an evening unfettered by domestic commitments in Pomeroy's wine bar. Over our second bottle of Chateau Thames Embankment, we discussed the recent Timson case, and my solicitor was able to tell me exactly how he'd managed to trace Molly to her brother's house in Birmingham. She'd fled there when Jim Diamond, the notorious Peterman, had finally left her.
She couldn't wait to tell me her story. That poor bloody Jim. She hated him. But there's something I don't understand, Rumpole.
What's that?
Well, what put you onto her?
Well, it was the strange failure of Jim to join the other actors for a drink after the show, and what I heard in the pub. Well, they said Jim had been polishing Aladdin's wonderful lamp. Yeah.
Was that all?
Oh. And Ebenezer said he felt an unexpected softness, you know, when he danced with Widow Twankey. But even before that, while I was watching the pantomime, I knew that something was wrong. Bonnie, it has taken some time for me to realise what I actually witnessed that night at the Tufnell Park Empire.
Oh, and what was that, Rumpole?
It was nothing less than an outrage to a great British tradition. Widow Twankey being played by a woman.
Dear, dear.
Yes. I arose next morning, I confess, a little tardily, to be greeted by a cooked breakfast and the surprisingly cheerful countenance of she who must be obeyed. I ventured a question. Oh, by the way, how was the old girls' reunion?
It went extremely well. In fact, it was a whole lot of fun. Dodo and I enjoyed it hugely.
I try to imagine what sort of fun the old St. Elfrida's girls got up to. Failed and said, "But I thought you were dreading it."
Oh, we were.
How was Chrissy, what's her name?
You mean Chrissy Snelling?
Ah.
Lady Shiplake now. She was in the chair.
And cut you two dead, did she?
Not at all. She was enormously pleased to see us. She kept saying what an entertaining pair we were at school. She said we were a laugh a minute.
She said that? I tried to picture She Who Must Be Obeyed and her friend Dodo Mackintosh as two capering schoolgirls, constantly telling jokes and irritating the science mistress, but failed again. But you said that she left because of you and Dodo.
Oh, she explained that. It was nothing to do with us.
It wasn't?
No, Chris's father.
Snelling.
Oh, yes, anyway. He was high up in the Foreign Office, and he got posted to Washington. So they decided to send her to school over there. It was quite a sudden decision.
And no one told you that?
No one.
So you felt guilty all these years?
Up till last night, yes. As I said to Dodo, it's quite a weight off my mind.
It must be. Then I rose from the table and began to stuff my papers into my battered briefcase. I placed my pen in my top pocket and submerged my dirty plate and cutlery in the washing-up bowl, in accordance with the law formulated by She Who Must Be Obeyed.
Rumpole?
The voice of authority was particularly sharp that morning.
Have you the remotest idea what you have just done?
No remote idea, Hilda. I have prepared for work. I am going out into the harsh, unsympathetic world of a Crown Court for the sole purpose of keeping this leaky old mansion flat afloat and well stocked with fairy liquid and such-like luxuries.
Is this the way you usually prepare for work?
Yes, by consuming a light-cooked breakfast and doing a bit of last-minute housework. How else?
And I suppose you intend to appear in court with the butter knife sticking out of your top pocket, having thrown your fountain pen into the sink.
Oh, good God. A glance at my top pocket told me that She Who Must Be Obeyed, forever eagle-eyed, had sized up the situation pretty accurately. A moment of confusion, I agree. My mind was on more serious matters. The absolution of my dear wife's guilt. Time passed. Spring came to the temple gardens, the crocuses were out, they were fresh green leaves and white blossom, when one morning Hilda opened a letter from Norfolk. She read it out to me.
The repointing's going well on the spire, and we hope to have it finished by Easter. And I have to tell you, Hilda, the oil-fired heating has changed our lives. Eric says it's like living in the tropics. Cooking supper last night, I had to peel off my Shetland woolly and my hand-knitted alpaca cardigan. Oh, dear Poppy.
She Who Must Be Obeyed put down the letter from her old school friend, Poppy Longstaff.
Noblesse oblige.
What was that, Hilda?
I could tell at once that Donald Compton was a true gentleman, the sort that does good by stealth. Of course, poor old Eric thought he'd never get the tower mended, but I somehow felt that Donald wouldn't fail him. It was noblesse.
Perhaps it was, but in this case the noblesse was Horace Rumpole's.
Rumpole? What on earth do you mean? You hardly paid to have the church spire repointed, did you?
In one sense, yes.
I can't believe that. After all the years it took you to have the bathroom decorated. What on earth do you mean about your noblesse?
Oh, it'd take too long to explain. But that which I am, I am. We are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
And not to yield? I'm not quite sure about that.
Easter came, the work on the spire was successfully completed, and I was walking back to chambers after a gruelling day down the Bailey when I saw, wafting through the temple cloisters, the unlikely apparition of the Reverend Eric Longstaff. He chirruped a greeting.
My dear Rumpole, terribly good to see you. Do you know, I'm so profoundly grateful that I decided to invite you down to the rectory last Christmas.
You decided?
Of course I did.
I thought your wife Poppy extended the invitation to she who must be obeyed.
Ah, dear Hilda, yes, but I thought of the idea. It was the result of a good deal of hard knee work and guidance from above. I knew you were the right man for the job.
What job?
The Compton job.
What was this? The rector was speaking like an old con. The Compton job?
What can you mean?
I just mean that I knew you defended Donald Compton in his previous existence.
How on earth did you know that?
Eric drew himself up to his full willowy height and spoke proudly.
I'm not a prison visitor for nothing. So I thought you were just the chap to put the fear of God into him. You were the very person to put the squeeze on the lord of the manor.
Words were beginning to fail me.
Put the squeeze on him?
That was the idea. It came to me as a result of hard knee work.
So you brought us down to that freezing rectory just so I could blackmail the local benefactor.
Didn't it turn out well?
May the Lord forgive you.
He is very forgiving.
I spoke to the man of God severely.
Well, the next time the church can do its blackmailing for itself.
It was then that the rector smiled at me in a lofty manner.
Oh, we're quite used to that. Particularly around Christmas.
In Rumpole and the Old Familiar Faces, Rumpole was played by Desmond Barrett. Hilda, she who must be obeyed, Joanna David. The Reverend Eric Longstaff, Oliver Ford Davis, and Donald Compton, Tim McInerney. Fred Timson was played by Nigel Anthony. Phillida Erskine Brown, Patience Tomlinson, Judge Bullingham, Philip Voss, Skimpy Simpson, Joanne Meredith, and Bonnie Bernard, Bruce Alexander. Detective Inspector Grimble was played by John Hartley. Aladdin, Rebecca Lacey, Dennis Timson, Tom George, Widow Twankey, Tilly Vosborough, Tristan Lewis Rees, and Isolde, Lauren Bird. The pantomime music was written and played by Neil Brown.
Thank you, that was lovely.
It was nice to get the chance to meet you.
It was cheeky of me to invite myself.
Oh, not really.
Yes, it was, and I know it was. Alan knows it was, only he won't say so.
Well, I did wonder why.
I wanted to apologise to Jill in advance. She won't be seeing much of you over the next couple of months. He is my new senior sales engineer. He's going to be working hard.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Ken.
Safe home. Mwah. Oh, my God. I'm strung tighter than a violin. Went okay, though, right? And he's nicer than I thought he'd be.
No, he's not. And he didn't come to apologise to you. He came to run an eye over you, the house, the way we live.
Did we pass?
Yep. Ken Cheshire now believes that I'm a solid citizen worthy of his trust and, more important, someone who can handle his big assignments.
And can you? Alan, can you transfer £100 into the housekeeping?
Might be iffy. Maintenance standing order goes out tomorrow.
God, I wish she'd meet someone and get married.
You forget, Margaret's been married. It's more fun just taking the money. I could probably get cash quicker.
OK. Soon?
Sure. Hey, you can have half now. Come on, I'll get it. There you go.
Mr. Morgan? Alan Morgan?
Yeah, what's the problem?
DC Perkins, Lancaster Road, CID. Can I have a word?
Do you mind if we do it out here?
Sure.
What's the problem?
Twice you've said that. Why should there be a problem?
A copper's just knocked on my door first thing in the morning. Well, unless you're collecting for the Police Widows and Orphans Fund, my guess is there's some kind of problem.
You were in the White Crow Friday night?
I was? Oh, don't tell me. One of them rang you, right? I don't believe it. One of them actually rang the police. Who was it? Derry? I bet it was Derry.
Why would you think somebody rang the police?
Oh, give me a break. You're here, you're a policeman, and we're talking about what happened in the White Crow. It's about that photo fit, right? Look at me. You can't miss a beat, right? As soon as I opened the door, he nearly rang for backup. Right height, black hair, right build, dressed in black, thin face, black eyebrows. I am the living, breathing spit of the guy who's going around the north of England shooting holes in people and stealing their money. I was the one who brought it up in the pub, for God's sake.
You brought it up. Why was that?
It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. Here he is, photo fit Fred, the man in black. Shot any security guards lately, Alan? And of course I pointed out that in some other pub, the real villain is going in his local, and all his mates are saying exactly the same thing, and nobody's doing a tap about it. Well, this is my own fault, isn't it? You have to admit, though, as soon as you saw me, you thought your ship might have come in, didn't you?
The thought crossed my mind.
Except if it was me, I would never have dubbed myself in.
No?
Oh, unless I was being really smart. Oh, forget that. It'll get too complicated. What can I do for you?
It's simple enough. Like to check a couple of dates, where you were. Mm-hmm. Put it to bed right off, probably. Yeah. And who you work for, please?
Easy enough. I'm a salesman. Cheshire and Rudd Engineering Consultants. I know where I've been. Diary's in the car. Come on. Who's on the phone?
I've got a part in the new play. Educating Rita.
Playing Rita? Excellent.
A lot of babysitters. A lot of money.
Who's playing the man? The professor, the older guy. Is he house trained?
Derry.
Okay. How much does Caroline charge a night?
15 squids. And I get grubbing for her.
£30 a week. I can damn near get that if I fiddle the mileage.
But we wouldn't have to pay anyone anything if we rehearsed here till we're off the book.
You what?
Look, what happened at Christmas was just me and Derry and too much tequila. He kissed me, that's all.
He had his hand up your skirt.
He's had his hand up every skirt in the group. If he'd left me out, you'd have felt insulted. You thought you were going to kill him. I wasn't too sure myself.
Rubbish. I'm a gentle soul, me. OK. You're right. Rehearse here.
Now, who's at the door?
Nothing as bad as Derry Shetland putting his hand on your bum. Just the police accusing me of murder.
Alan?
Come to think of it, it was Derry the creep who informed on me. I should have given him a smack at Christmas.
So what happened with the copper?
Copper was OK. Just wanted to check some dates. I looked in the diary.
God, if anyone asked me where I was on such and such a day, I'd be stuffed.
Anyway, it's done and dusted. Good job, too. Last thing in the world I need at the moment is anything making this job harder. If I close this big data centre job, it'll make me permanent.
Go get him, Tiger.
Go. Can I have a word?
What? Make it quick.
This guy, Morgan. I told you there was a tip someone gobbing off in a pub.
Yeah, OK. Looked like the photo fit. Yeah, nothing in that, surely.
Except he doesn't just look like the picture, he's the spiff of it.
OK, and? Your nose is twitching?
He's a salesman. Lives in Car Lane. Lovely setup. House, car, wife's fit. A couple of kids, I guess. There's something coming off him, though. I can't swear to it, and I might be wrong, but I'm not wrong about what I have checked. I gave him 3 dates. He looked in his diary, look.
Oh, now, that is interesting.
These 3. He was half an hour away from the post office job, half an hour away from the security van, and spent the night before 10 miles away from the supermarket cash delivery. This could be something and nothing. Coincidences.
I hate bloody coincidences. How many dates did you ask him about? Just these 3?
No, gave him 3 real ones, another 6 might have been.
Oh, smart. Good. Well, talk to him again. Sniff him too. Also, see if he's in the system. And what's his story, where he works, etc.
Gov.
And what's this one here?
Circled. I don't get that one. Oh, right. That's his ex-wife. He called in there to see her.
Right, well, you could call in on her too. See what she thinks of him. Background stuff. Get a feel for him. Probably nothing in it. But dig a bit more before sending back.
OK.
Hello?
Can you spare me some time? I need a bit of background.
Why?
I just do. Part of the job's charm. My boss needs to know a few things. You might be able to help us. You got a problem with that?
Oh, I'll have to put a meeting back. Let me make a phone call. Come in.
You away all week, every week?
Just now I am. New job. Hitting the ground running. The way things are, I'm lucky to get the chance.
Not sure what you do exactly. I know you travel. Rep, are you?
Rep's a soft word folk use when they're ashamed of what they do and want to make it sound more important. I'm a salesman, and like all good salesmen, I enjoy it. Arthur Miller got it wrong.
Arthur who?
Climate control's a buzzword these days. Air conditioning, heating and ventilating in big buildings, big contracts.
Cover a big area, do you?
At the moment, I cover the UK.
Just you?
It's a new job, I'm breaking ground. Most of the leads I've got are in the northwest, but the people who make the decisions are all over.
Don't get it. Why?
Well, I only sell big installations. Big office blocks, prestige hotels, shopping malls, stuff like that. Most developers operate out of London. Architects, consulting engineers do the specs. They can be anywhere. Clients can be corporations. You don't care what I do. Why don't you just say what's brought you back here?
Pretty sharp.
Spit it out. Something in my diary's got you interested. What?
OK. The 3 dates I gave you were the dates when the man in black, to use his tabloid name, which I personally dislike intensely.
Get on with it. I've got stuff to do today.
Your diary says you were less than 10 miles away from 3 murder scenes 3 times on 3 separate dates. I want to know who you met and why.
This is over about 2 months or more. I can't do it off the top of my head.
How long will it take?
I've got a lot on. I won't be able to get to it till the weekend.
We're talking about 3 cold-blooded killings here.
And I'm talking about earning my living in a new job. This is a very crucial time in my life. And I have one big advantage over you.
And what's that?
I know I haven't killed anyone. Or stolen any money.
I still need those names, and we will have to talk again. And you never know, you were in the vicinity. We haven't got many witnesses. If we eliminate you...
When you eliminate me.
OK, when? But you still might be helpful. Maybe you saw something.
Next week.
Or maybe I could talk direct to your office. Cheshire and Rudd, right?
I will do anything I can to get you off my back. And the sooner the better for both of us.
I thought you'd have gone by now.
Ah, that copper came back.
Why?
3 of the robberies, the shootings. My diary says I was near enough to make this guy interested in me.
He can't think you're involved.
He says he wants to eliminate me. He says if I was nearby, maybe I saw something, maybe I can help. The thing is, I can't spend any time fending this guy off. I've got this big docs project. It's coming to the boil right now. And that'll give us enough elbow room money-wise for the rest of the year.
Can I do anything?
He'll come and see you.
Why?
He'll want to check my background. He'll get all he can off me. He'll talk to them at work and he'll talk to you, see what kind of marriage we've got. When he gets all the right answers, he'll clear off. If he doesn't, he'll hang around poking his nose in everywhere and I can't afford any distractions. I could do without this.
Calm down. You throw one of your wobblies in front of the police and they will start looking harder. He's only got to come here. Look at us, look at the kids. Nothing to hide.
He can't find out we're broke, Jill. If he does, Ken Cheshire might, and Ken really has to believe we're flush.
Right.
You might as well have all the bad news in one big lump. Margaret's gone back to the court for an increase in what I pay her.
Will she get it?
Who knows? It won't matter anyway when I pull this job off, which I don't want to have to do with the police sniffing around. See you.
Why?
Is this something we need to send up? Do I need to speak to SIO?
Morgan is very eager to get me off his back. Too eager. I really need to have a long look at him.
OK, I'll tell you what. Go and see the wife, then go straight where he works. Pull their chain. I don't want you checking in with any more dates, right? It might spook him. Check the dates with his company. And his background. More key. Anything else about him I should know? This case is a dry well.
He's as fit as a butcher's pup. Well physical. Looks like he works out. He's away all week, so I can put in on the little lady quite natural. Also, I'll talk to his firm. Check.
Thanks, Gov.
Nice of you to see me, popping in like this. Is he away?
You know he is. I'm seeing you because Alan didn't do it, and I want to help you prove it. But that cuts both ways.
Okay.
The man you're after, I know he's killed people, stolen money, but I've not taken much notice of the details. What kind of man are you looking for, this man in black?
Ruthless, cruel, plans to the inch. Has stolen, that we know of, hundreds of thousands of pounds. The way he does it is simple. He targets security money deliveries or cash point refills. He threatens one of the pair, kills him, or her. Yeah, he shot a woman last. Then word got around and now they just give it up.
Isn't there what's it? CCTV or...?
That's where the photo fit came from. Which looks exactly like your husband.
Alan said you had him close to 3 places.
The 3 dead, yeah.
He didn't do it. I know him, he couldn't.
How long have you been together?
7 years.
Kids?
2. Boy and a girl.
You've not lived here long?
Came when Alan got this job. This is a good job. Next step in his career ladder. He's going places. Which is another reason for you getting out of his hair.
Tell me.
He works 70-odd hours a week, pitching, doing schemes, and most of all, closing sales. He's opening up this territory. His time's his life, and you look like taking chunks of it away from him. I see him 2 days a week, if I'm lucky, but eventually it'll be worth it, provided you don't glue him up.
All right. Tell me what you know about these 3 calls you made.
Well, I have to rely on memory. I know the first 2. They're places he goes a lot. They're both clients.
Clients?
They're paying for the building. Going to own it, going to use it.
Okay. This one?
Don't know. Architect, consulting engineer. They actually buy the kit, the gear, the whole systems Alan sells, and they install it.
You're clued up.
Yeah, that's how we met. I was his PA.
In his last job?
He was married. I was his bit of stuff over the side. Till his wife found out and cut his suits up. That went down well.
I'm not a priest. I don't care. He called on these guys. Spends how long?
Generally takes up the meat of the day.
Then what? He comes home?
When he's working, he's working. Carries on in the evening, prepping the next day. Couldn't do that at home.
He was only 30-odd miles away, here.
And your point? This is what he does.
Stays out when it might take him 45 minutes to get home. And on one of these days, he went to see his first wife. No offence.
How my husband and I work our marriage is our business. We're finished now.
I think so.
That wasn't a question.
I'll see myself out.
No. I'll do it. Make sure you're gone.
Hey, Perkins. Where are you going now? I want to catch you up.
Can we do it later, Gov? I want to have a word with the first wife, Morgan's. Might get some background. No love lost, I don't think. Hi.
Hello.
DC Perkins, Lancaster Road. Mrs. Margaret Morgan.
I used to be. I use my maiden name now, Birtles.
Do you mind if I come in? I would like to ask you a few questions about your ex-husband.
What's he done? Killed someone?
It's a strange thing to say.
Last time I spoke to him, he had blood in his eye. He looked ready to kill anyone who looked sideways at him.
Why was that?
I told him he was going to have to pay me more maintenance. And I gather his finances aren't all that secure these days. His present wife has expensive tastes, I understand. And if he doesn't indulge them, she'll go the same way I did, over the side. Mind you, there was a little bit more to it than that with me.
Like what?
When I found out about little Jill all those years ago, he punched me in the face.
Was that before or after you cut his suits up?
Oops. Who have you been talking to? Still, it was worth a black eye getting rid of him and his moods.
You afraid of him now?
No. I've got 3 brothers. They threw him out and told him his fortune. But it's nice to see him sweat. Oh, take no notice, I'm just being catty. But it's quite satisfying to see him sweating for a change. But that's not why you're here, is it? Is it?
No. Did you see him on the 19th of September?
Why? Has he done something?
Probably not. The 19th?
I'm bored. Have you got time for a coffee?
Maybe.
Go on. Mrs. Next Door will go cross-eyed if I have a good-looking young man in here with the curtains drawn.
It's me. Are you driving?
I'm in the car park. What's up?
I just had a long session with PC Plod.
And?
Okay, I think. But he's asked about who you work for. I batted him off.
Oh, OK, I can sort that. You up to anything tonight?
Don't be at it. It's me and Derry on the couch tonight, as you very well know.
Hey, barbed wire garters, OK?
Behave. You could be in a four-poster with Nicole Kidman for all I know. Night.
Night.
The person you are calling is unable to take your call. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, Jacqueline, it's me. Can't make it tonight till later. Love you. Right. Alan Morgan, one night as usual. No dinner and I'll be away early. Straight to bed. Don't disturb, OK?
Dave, did you hear? There's another one. Security guard shot and killed. Cash point filling outside Wolverhampton Village. Waits. Jensbury. What about your bloke Morgan? Where's he?
Dunno. Saw his missus. Happy marriage. Goes out all week, comes home weekends. His first wife, though, tells a different story.
And?
Says he's violent. Gave her a smack when they split up, black eye. Mind you...
What, something else?
Not sure I want to give her one myself. Similar circumstances. She finds out he's over the side, only cuts all his bloody suits up.
Cuts his suits up, literally?
Hundreds of quid's worth. Laughing like a drain when she told me.
Women, bring tears to your eyes. But violent. Keep an eye on him and find out where he was last night.
Alan, can you ring me? That policeman's been on again. He wants you to get in touch. Alan, he wants to know where you stayed last night. There's been another murder. It was on the news.
Hi, it's me. I've pulled over. What did Perkins say?
Just wanted to know where you were last night, and can you ring him?
Did you tell him where I was?
No. I wasn't sure, anyway. Where were you?
Just outside Kenilworth. Big conference place. It's OK. No problem. I'll sort it.
He wasn't pushing it. Said when you had a minute.
Find him.
He's on the road again between Manchester and London. Hotel last night, don't know which one yet. Driving this morning, don't know where to. Central London, his secretary Bird said.
Ken, it's Alan.
Where are you?
I'm on my way to see the client in the docks still. OK, I've signed up Rossall and they'll go with the engineering consultants. All I've got to do is sign off on the whole ARIBA spec with the MD and the finance guys, and we're doing that in 4 hours at the lunch you know about.
You got the specs with you? Said he had some mods to let you have.
Ken, listen. There's a complication. You remember I told you about that copper and wanting some dates checking in my diary? I told Sherry.
So what's the problem? Alan, don't let anything get in the way of this. I want you fully engaged here.
That's what I'm talking about. Will you listen, Ken? You have to keep this copper off my back.
Told you you'd get caught one day. A jealous husband was always going to shop you. I told you.
All right, can there jokes? For once in your life, Ken, listen to what I'm saying, because this is important.
Yeah. Just remember who pays your wages.
Don't talk, just listen. There's been another shooting near Wolverhampton.
What? What's shooting?
Well, have I got your attention now? I need you to talk to this cop again, because if you don't, he's going to want me to back off this deal and drive all the way back to Wolverhampton just to prove that wasn't me either.
How the hell am I going to do that?
You're a manager, find a way. I am taking $3.5 million a year clients to make themselves sick on roast beef marrow bones and calves brains at St James's, Kenneth, and that is going to make you and your whole firm a whole load of money. I can close this over lunch. That's all it needs, closing, and today's the day. Talk to this plod, Ken. Keep him off my back. Make him come over to you at the office, anything that stops him following me around.
I can't
do it.
Couldn't we have done this on the phone?
I was hoping Alan Morgan would be here. He's the one I want to talk to.
Yeah, sorry about that. He's not avoiding you. He really can't be reached. He's taking clients, very important clients, out to close a very big deal. They're going to an all-steak and guts restaurant, but it turns out 2 of them are dedicated vegetarians. So, I don't know where they're eating. And then he's driving them to Bristol. His girl Sherry's trying, but he's switched his phone off. He's stuck with me.
OK. How much do you know?
Well, Alan says you think he's been in a couple of places near some murders. And there was another one this morning. Oh, I don't care what evidence you've got. I'm telling you here and now, Alan Morgan is not a murderer.
That's a photo fit, the man we're looking for.
OK, looks like him. Also looks like a lot of people you walk past in the street any day of the week.
These are the murder sites and dates. This is Alan Morgan's diary.
And?
I've also checked all his interviews on those days. For large chunks of the time, his whereabouts were unknown.
But he's driving to his next appointment, to the hotel he's going to.
No. Look, hours unaccounted for. Hours.
There's got to be some other explanation.
People are dead. Another one died this morning. I don't know where he was last night. I don't know where he is now. I need to know.
I can text him, he'll ring me. I have to talk to him, see where the job's up to, and we can decide.
I want him in front of me as soon as it takes. Nothing else matters.
OK, maybe.
Are you obstructing the course of police justice?
Why have you suddenly turned into Dirty Harry? If I find out where he is, I'll tell him you want to see him, all right?
How long has he been dealing with these people?
Months, on and off. Why?
And he doesn't know a couple of them are vegetarians? Really? I think he's gone to a different place to eat to keep out of my way.
I wouldn't blame him if he had. He's on the most important sale of his career. All you are is something getting in his way, and police or not, you would never want to get in the way of Alan Morgan.
Really? Why's that?
He's hard as nails. It's part of what makes him good at what he does.
Hard as nails? Really?
We are so close to this sale, I can smell it from here. Look, let him take these people to Bristol, let him close the sale on the way. Tomorrow morning is yours for as long as you like. I guarantee it.
Is this his car reg?
Yeah. Oh, don't do it, Mr. Perkins. You're making a big mistake.
All right. You choose. Would you rather get in touch with him, get him to rearrange his trip to Bristol for another day and come and talk to me? Or would you rather I had him picked up on the M4 in front of his very important customers?
You're making a big mistake, and I'll make sure your bosses know.
You won't have to. If it's a mistake, they'll let me know themselves.
Sherry, get me car out front, will you? You wanted to see me, all you had to do was say so. You didn't have to involve my boss. Why did you do that for?
Well, I didn't know how to get hold of you. Thanks for coming across.
Stick it. You know how long I've been working on that sale? You know how much it's worth to me? Close to 6 months' wages in commission and a solid new contract to replace a trial one I'm working on at the moment. You know how loose you've just made my flag in the map?
Calm down. Just answer a couple of questions, OK? Then you can get back to work.
Calm down, calm down! I won't bloody calm down.
You've got a job to do. I've got a job to do. We've both got jobs to do.
Don't make me laugh. Job? You get up in the morning and then you go to work and there's all your work waiting for you. If you had to do what I do, you'd be lost. Go on, try it. Try going out on your own, making a living on your own, using your own brains, wheeling, dealing, hustling, shuffling, ducking and diving. You won't last 5 minutes. And then you get some Jobsworth prat with an obsession. Someone like you come and take it all away from you. Calm down. You must be bloody joking. If I lose this because of you, I'm going to come looking for you, police or no bloody police.
Is that a threat?
It's a statement of fact, Constable. A statement of fact.
Let's get this out of the way, and then you can get on your way. Where were you this morning? 8:30ish.
I meant what I said.
Where were you?
M40, M42 probably.
What time did you start from the hotel?
I wasn't in an hotel last night.
Where were you?
Mind your own business.
You have 3 separate long periods of absence from where you said you were. The hotels you said you stayed at.
Wrong. I wasn't where you assumed I was. Not the same thing.
Where were you?
I refer to my previous answer. Mind your own business. I'm finished. Because I'd like to get on rescuing what's left of my job. Unless you'd like to arrest me and charge me with something. No? I thought not.
Have you got someone who can confirm where you were both this morning and on these other occasions? Just now, this is a low-level action from the murder squad. You can settle it with me, or the big guns will jump on it. You choose.
Can I suggest that you start looking for the real killer? Just think about it for a minute. If I was this guy, would I have pointed the police in my direction, knowing that my diary would place me next to 3 murders? Would I then, knowing you were crawling all over my back, do another one right next to where I was sleeping? Behave.
I'll have to talk to Mr. Cheshire again, and your wife.
Oh, that's a great idea, yeah. Wreck my career and then wreck my marriage. More fun than solving a series of murders. Easier, too. Face it, you're clutching at straws.
Well, tell me where you were, then.
Give it a couple of days. If you're no further along, I'll tell you where I've been.
Why wait?
Because by then, I'll have everything sorted. With my life and my career back on track, and you out of both of them. But I can't deal with you right now. If Ken Cheshire thinks I can't give him every minute of my time, then he'll pull me off this job, and that's me down the toilet. I need a break. I know I didn't do it. You know I didn't do any of it.
And? We've got nothing else?
Gov, I'm not sure. Well, I don't exactly think he's the bad guy, but until I can find out where he was, I'm not going to let go.
Well, why won't he let you know where he was?
I guess because it's somewhere he shouldn't have been.
Playing away?
I guess.
Alan's away. You know that.
Actually, I need to talk to you. I think you can help me, and I think you can help your husband.
You better come through. I don't get it. He's told you where he was.
There are anomalies on all 3 dates. Long passages of time where he says he was in one place and the other people I've talked to can't confirm it.
He's shown you copies of his hotel bills.
Yeah, but...
But the hotel staff say he wasn't there when he said he was.
Yes.
I'll tell you something about my husband and his job, right? He's like the swan, smooth and serene on the surface, and underneath he's paddling like mad to keep afloat.
Go on.
He's a top salesman, one of the best in the business.
That's what his boss says. None of this makes any sense.
All right. He was invited to resign from his last job.
Are you going to tell me why?
Selling high-end in this business, you have to show a big front. Car, suits, expenses, drinks. The more you spend, the better sales you make. Like all salesmen, he's got tunnel vision. All he can see is the end result. Any way he can get there is a good way. Spending money is a good way, and the expense account isn't enough to keep all the front up.
He fiddled his expenses.
He gave himself some elbow room, which is what he's doing now. He's been given another chance by this new firm. He's close to closing a really big contract. He's on trial.
How does he do the expenses thing?
Stays with a mate or B&Bs. The hotel bills are easy. He does them himself. Look, just let him close this deal. Then he'll be the golden boy and he can go to Kent Cheshire and admit he's been naughty with his admin. And then he can tell you where he's really been staying and they can confirm it. And you can carry on detecting and find the real bad guy. But if you get in his way, you will become the bad guy to Alan.
I've just been talking to Mr. Cheshire. I went to see him first, told him what I told you.
Oh, good. That's all right, then. You have just ruined his entire year's work. Well done.
Get hold of Alan Morgan, will you, Sherry? And clear my appointments for a couple of days. Tell him to meet me at Hilton Park Services and tell him to bring all the stuff on the contract. Specifications, everything.
Kev, don't take me off it.
You're not listening to me. This guy, this Perkins, he's just trying to make a name for himself. I play golf with the Chief Constable, and the real investigation is proceeding separately along very well-defined lines, which probably don't include you.
So why pull me off?
Because if you can't get rid of Perkins out of your life, what's his next move? He's already been to Jill, and he's been to me. If he thinks you're involved, he's then going to crawl all over all your customers, all your contacts. And where does that leave? The Docks Development Data Centre and this company and our shiny new contract. And you're stuck. That's where, with your immediate future and what's more important, my immediate future, he'll start getting in the way, big time. And in that window, WTCR could come up with better figures.
What do you want me to do?
Go home and work up a date and timeline with Jill that shows you could not possibly have been involved with any of this. Then take it to Perkins and crawl all over him with it.
Ken.
Smiling and bowing, which will keep him busy while I take over and close the deal.
But
You'll lose nothing. I promise. And when you're doing this thing for Perkins, remember this. I don't care where you were. I don't care how much expense money you fiddled. I don't care who you screwed. Just want him to believe you haven't killed anyone. I want this copper off his contracts back. Now go.
He doesn't care about you fiddling the hotels.
Oh, he's got the deal in his sights.
That's what he says now.
I tell you what, honey, standing where you are now and looking at me, how much choice do you think I actually have?
Right, where's your bits of paper?
Right.
There's still bloody great holes all over this. I mean, where were you here? And here, and here? I don't believe this. You're still seeing Jackie. No wonder you can't tell him where you were. After all we went through, you're still seeing her.
What can I tell you? This is who I am. You know that. You better than anyone. And for better or for worse, this is who you are. I mean, I admit it. When I'm away, you a nun? No. And is it better when we're together again? Yes. This is who we are. Both of us, Jill. Both of us.
Well, she stops now, anyway. Casual I can deal with, but not little Jacqueline. Or you can dig yourself out of this hole.
It's already stopped. As soon as she knew I was mixed up with this copper, she was pulling up her knickers and running down the road. That's why I can't give Perkins a name. She'd sooner see me in hell now. If her old man finds out, she's done.
Well, maybe you can't, but I can.
What? Hey. Jill, no, you... Oh.
Jackie will back you up. Or I will ring her very rich husband.
Jill,
we'll see how long her flag stays in the map then. Jackie, listen. I want you to do yourself a favour.
You've changed your tune.
Ken Cheshire wants you off my back.
No, he wants me off his back. He plays golf with God, and God came off his mountain and spake with me this morning. Also, a friend of yours has rung me. Very close friend, as a matter of fact. She's fit as she sounds, this woman that runs the boarding house. I gather that's how she knows where you were.
Who she is, how I know her, that's irrelevant. It's none of your business. Do you want to get on with this or what?
My pleasure.
Alan, you're taking a back seat for now, and I'm up to speed. I'll do this.
Right, of course. Well, if you're sure, Ken. Our arrangement still stands, right? Ken?
Is he going to screw you?
Depends how he feels. If it was me, I'd screw him. He'll probably take most of the opening commission, throw me a bone. Better deal in future, new car, sweeteners.
If he does that, can we manage?
Stupid question. We have to manage. Or drown. You know the game. We took a gamble, commission only and expenses for as long as it took.
It's a crooked game.
It's the only game in town. Okay. There is one thing I can do.
Which is?
Take out a little insurance. I've still got a copy of all the figures. If Ken Cheshire double-crosses me, I can show WTCR how to get under his quote.
You might play fair.
Then so will I.
Dave, get your coat, quick. What's up? Wellesby, traffic stop, stopped a white van. In the back, black clothes, cash bags, handcuffs and 2 sawn-off shotguns. And a dark, thin man.
You've got him? Yes!
Not exactly. I'll tell you in the car. Had a handgun, shot the driver, legged it into a shopping precinct with one of the shooters. And he's got a hostage, woman loaded in a car.
Firearms there?
On the plot. Nearly there. Look, multi-storey car park. That's him.
See if you can get your weapon. Drive round. On the ground. Shit! Torn it!
Oh, we better hope it was him and not a drunken Irishman with a table leg.
It's not funny, Gov.
Am I laughing?
I expect you could strangle me.
That's not your fault. I'd probably have done the same given the sex.
Is it all wrecked? What do you call it? The deal?
Don't know. I expect I'll not get as much money as I thought I was going to.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Have you finally caught him? I mean, do you even know it is him?
Out of my hands. It really was in my hands, matter of fact. I was just doing the legwork for the main team. And you were a loose thread I'd come across, and the more I tugged at it, the more came loose. No, he's not caught. But it's him. Very little doubt of that.
How did they get him?
Traffic stop, would you believe? He'd held up a security van making his way out the back of a shopping mall, and an AMPR van sussed his motor had the wrong registration number. He had no intention of going inside, and I guess, all things being equal, you're off the hook.
Day late and a mile wide.
Excuse me. Yep. I'm finishing up with Mr. and Mrs. Morgan. Where? Lancaster Road, okay. What?
Right, what do you want first? The bad news or the slightly less than bad news?
Well, you're pitching, you choose.
They didn't go for it.
Come.
The Bristol engineering guy ruined it. All he could do was moan about running costs and maintenance snags.
You've got to stroke that grumpy pig all the time. Did you invite him to lunch?
Oh, so that's what it was. No.
I hope that was the bad news.
Yep.
And?
You're flying out of Manchester tomorrow morning. Picking them all up at Heathrow, taking them to look at the Dubai site. Here's all the bump, tickets, proposals.
What?
We're up again. I can't close. You can. Do it, Alan. And I've looked at all your admin stuff. You're struggling, aren't you? That's why you fiddle your hotels.
Well,
I should have clocked it sooner. Land this, and you get a 3-year contract. Company car, and you can terminate the lease on that motor outside. Prove you're worth it, Alan.
Is that it?
Looks like it. Loner, divorced, obsessive.
Why'd he change his MO with the bank manager?
You never know.
Well, wrap it up. I'll go and stroke the Morgans again.
Right, Jill, is he back yet?
On his way from the airport.
Brought his new car over.
Merc, wow.
I'll take this one back to the dealers. Is it all cleaned out?
Just this case. Don't recognise it.
God, is that copper. I'm off.
Morning. Is Mr. Morgan in?
Soon? What's up?
Brought his papers and diary back. Thought he might need him. Now he's back on the job.
Oh, nice thought. You look frazzled.
I am frazzled. Something a bit more than that, actually.
Come round, have some coffee. We'll go round the back. Front door's warped. Something is wrong, isn't it? Come on, tell Auntie Jill.
Yeah. Be all over the place soon, I expect. Might just as well tell you, you being nearly involved. Be obliged if it goes no further.
Sure, but you've definitely got to tell me now.
Don't know if you remember, last time I was here I got called away in a bit of a hurry.
Do you know, I don't remember. We weren't even sure we had a living.
I got called back to talk to a man called Sharman, a bank manager. He's fallen to pieces, poor devil.
What?
Carney, the guy who did all the robberies, he'd been busier than we thought.
Bank manager? Sharman?
Carney turned up at Sharman's house a couple of nights ago. Full kit, black gear, balaclava. Held the wife and daughter while Sharman went to the bank and brought back some money. Not sure how much. Then took the girl away to make sure the father kept his mouth shut. Rang him later, told him where she was. Except she wasn't.
What do you mean?
He said she was in a car park in the boot of a car. When Sharman got to the car park where she was supposed to be in the boot of a car, the car wasn't there. It'd been parked illegally and then towed by a private company. By the time we traced it, the kid had suffocated to death.
Oh, Lord.
He's racked up quite a toll. I better go.
Joe, where are you? Where's the car? What's that big Merc doing outside?
It's your new car. Ken Cheshire brought it and took yours.
Yeah, there's stuff in the boot and the other one, stuff I needed.
I cleaned it and cleaned it out.
Okay.
Golf clubs. Overnight bag, the one you never use, actually.
Okay, I'll take that.
I cleaned that out too.
All right.
I've got the stuff here. On the table, look. Black sweater. Black jeans, black fleece. And this. Black balaclava. All brand new by the look of them. What's going on, Alan?
I was going to have a laugh with Derry and that lot in the pub. You know, pretend to stick them all up. It's stupid. Changed my mind.
That bank manager's daughter. She's dead.
Dead?
The car was towed and she suffocated before they found her.
Oh.
David Sharman? That was the bank manager's name. Wasn't he the guy we met at Mark Lowe's wedding last year? He had his daughter with him. Lovely girl. I think he gave you his card. Are you really telling me you had nothing to do with this?
Are you really telling me you want to know?
I need to know who I'm married to.
You're married to me. And you like the life and the goodies it brings, don't you? And you also know who I am, don't you? And what I am. Don't you? Speak up, Jill, speak up.
Oh, Alan, I can't. Alan, have you killed 5 people?
What? No, I haven't killed anyone. Oh, this is so stupid, it should never have happened.
Oh, what have you done?
I was desperate. There was no money coming in from anywhere, and WTCR, they laughed at me. They threatened to tell Cheshire that the girl would have been fine. I didn't do the others, just Sharman. I was desperate.
What are we going to do with this stuff?
Hi. Your front doorbell's not working. I saw you dropping off. Came back, need a signature for your docs and diary, if you don't mind. Have I interrupted something? Having a clear out?
It's not what it looks like.
Really? Well, why don't you tell me what it is, then? Mr. Morgan? Mrs. Morgan?
In Right Place, Wrong Time, Alan was played by Sean Dooley and Perkins by Greg Wood. Cheshire was played by James Quinn, Jill by Fiona Clark, and Berry by Roger Morledge. Margaret was played by Ruth Alexander Rubin. Right Place, Wrong Time was written by Don Webb and produced in Manchester by Gary Brown.